Welcome back, guys, to our round two coverage of the FIDE Women's World Team Championship 2021. I'm Irina Krush, and I am joined with my co-commentator here, Jennifer Shahade. And we're going to be bringing you the second round of action for the day to see which teams go forward to the semifinals. It's going to be really exciting. But before we get there, let me tell you a little bit about the Super Swiss Speed Chess Championship Super Swiss that is going to take place after the Grand Prix concludes. Titled players will get one last shot at a spot in the Speed Chess Championship main event during Super Swiss weekend. So make sure to tune in October 16th to 17th for the 15-round Swiss and knockout tournament that starts at 10 a.m. Pacific on Chess TV. That's a really exciting event, Jen. I commentated on the Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix last weekend that was won by Jeffrey Xiong, and I just loved the format of it.
Yeah, I mean, really a great event, Speed Chess, absolutely. Congrats to JX. And meanwhile, we've got a lot of exciting action here at the Women's World Team Championship. And we were lucky last round to get so many great games, Irina. I mean, Maria Muzichuk for Lilith Merkatian. We saw a little bit of Katarina Llano's gorgeous Sicilian victory. Well, actually Sicilian scalp, I should say. She won on the white side. So I'm excited to see what we're going to come up with next as we're in round two of this knockout format. So the teams that lost have to come back, or they're out.
Yeah, so I mean, Ukraine is going to have to do that job against Armenia. Now, one thing I wanted to correct from our coverage of the first round is that actually India did not lose to Kazakhstan. Their match was a 2-2 tie based on Marianne Gomez beating Gulmira Dowletova on board four. We saw that position. It looked very, very drawish. So I just assumed that it was going to be a draw. I don't know how, but Kazakhstan managed to lose that board. So actually, they have a tied match, which is, very suspenseful as well. Good chance for a tie break. Jen, maybe we can even take a look and see what happened in Marianne Gomez Dowletova. Like, how was that even possible?
Yeah, let's take a look. It wasn't as clear as some of the other draws, as far as I understand. Oh, look at this. Pawn and knight versus king. I can see, I think we thought most likely result was a draw, and that's why we went away, but it was like three minor pieces. I thought when we left it, I can't remember where we left it, Irina, but it turned in Gomez's favor at some point. I mean, with this incredibly strong pawn.
Huh.
Yeah. I think we might have left it around here. Yeah. So this is where it really looked rawish, but there's still that possibility of making it past H pawn. So it wasn't like completely dead in the water in terms of, and again, yes, you see that H pawn ended up racing down the board, but why did white not find any counterplay for it? Where I think this was a problem.
Their knight got trapped on the side of the board.
Yeah. And also, oh, okay. And king D, yeah. And then there was this king D6 move, which just basically trapped this pawn, right? Because if you come back, then we could even play knight E6 and we're going to be running away with the H pawn.
Yeah. Yeah, that H pawn is quite strong and that knight is quite terrible. Wow. So I guess it wasn't that simple.
Yeah.
It's a very surprising result nonetheless. And yeah, I mean, good news, of course, for Team India. It's better than being in a hole and having to come back from a lost match, which would have been really sad. Because, I mean, honestly, now knowing that Gomez won, I mean, Harika maybe feels even worse because she was completely winning and her game led to the match ending in a draw because she only drew. So, but yeah, anyway, more excitement for us and the viewers, right? Because we got two matches that I think are promising to be really close. And well, FIDE Americas, I mean, they lost to Team Russia. Not a surprise there. Azerbaijan losing to Georgia, 3.5, almost as with the same margin as FIDE Americas to Russia. It's not yeah, I think that's a good result for Georgia, better than expected. I mean, um, that's a really big result for Georgia. And Azerbaijan, are they going to be able to make a comeback? I mean, my feeling is it's unlikely. I mean, I just think that Georgia, apart from Russia, is the team that is playing the best in this event. And they won so convincingly. Why would something go wrong for them now? I don't really see a big reason for that. But Ukraine Armenia is the one that for me is the most interesting, because Ukraine with the Muzichuk sisters, just objectively such a strong team. Um,
Absolutely. I mean, it was really a surprise, but boy, did Armenia play their faces off. I mean, God, that game with Lilith Merkatian was just so heroic. I mean, Muzichuk was trying her best to try to like trick her in time pressure, but Lily played so fantastic. It was really cool to see that kind of fighting spirit. You should replay that one if you haven't already. But, shout out to the Georgian team because they have been so legendary in women's chess for so many years. We've got Nana Zagnidze, relatively young player who's heading up that squad. They did win with that big score against Azerbaijan in last round, as you mentioned. I mean, Russia 4-0, but Georgia not far behind with 3.5. And recently Georgia women chess and their dynastic history has been in the news, right? The mainstream news, as the story broke in the New York Times about a week ago that Nona Gafrindashvili was suing Netflix because of an inaccurate line in the story that claimed that Nona never faced men, right? So
yeah.
the cool thing about that story was that people that don't play chess were asking me about Nona Gafrindashvili. And I was like, wow, that is so cool, because years ago I wrote a book, Play Like a Girl, and I also wrote a book, Chess Bitch, where I talked about Nona Gafrindashvili. And one tournament I had this girl bring me like Play Like a Girl, and there was a chapter on Nona and double attack. And I was like, this 8-year-old girl is learning all about Nona. It's so awesome. So I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I'm just glad that her accomplishments are getting like spread all over the place.
Yeah, I remember when I heard that line in the show. Things overall, I like the show so much that I really didn't find a lot to complain about. So I think when I heard that line, I probably was like, "Huh," and then I just moved on, with wherever the show was going next. I really didn't dwell on it, but I can understand that if I was the player and if I was named by name like that and in such a film that has, a show that has such an impact on the game of chess, right? And that I was kind of mischaracterized like that in such a fundamental, and I guess if you look at it from her point of view, in such a gratuitous way, right? That like her name was used. I mean, they could have just called it something else. They didn't have to call her Printashvili, right? I guess that's her point. They could have just made up, um, some other a female chess player and said that that person never played against men. But I mean, I guess for her seeing that, where she is in her chess career, obviously at the end of it, and to have, to see her accomplishments kind of summed up in that one sentence, I can see why that would be upsetting for her.
Yeah, totally. I agree. And I think that maybe it was an honest mistake, because I read the line in the Tevis book and it read differently. Sometimes like actors improvise last minute or things get edited in a certain way. The exact line was something like, Nona Gafrindashvili is the women's world champion and she's never played against men. I think maybe it was missing never played against men for the world championship, right? Like,
Maybe that's a big
yeah.
difference, though. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But because I believe the Tevis line was different and it was more accurate in the actual book, The Queen's Gambit. But it just goes to
Mm,
show how complicated these things are. I mean, like the mistakes that you can make when you're making such a magnificent production.
yeah.
It is easy to make a mistake like that. And yet, in this case, I think it really like hurt. I mean, it really seemed to hurt her. Like, and I can understand that because she is
Yeah.
legendary. She was the first female ever to get the regular grandmaster title, right?
Yeah, and
In
I mean, I think,
history.
and that's the thing, she was playing men, right? So I think for her to hear that about herself, it must have been kind of jarring. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, hopefully, it's going to end kind of in a nice way where everyone is happy, where her, accomplishments are going to be, acknowledged, and yet we can still, acknowledge that it was a great show that really popularized chess and brought it to so many people. I mean, that's my hope, Jen, because I do like both parties in this lawsuit.
Oh yeah, I mean it was such a great show, and it did do a lot for women in chess. I actually did bring up that line when I reviewed the piece like the show a year ago. But actually, like the context I was looking at it was not just that line, but also just like the general fact that there wasn't really a lot of discussion of real women in chess in the show. But then
Mm.
because the show was so popular, every female who played chess got such great press coverage. So to me, it like kind of worked out in women's favor anyway. But yeah, like they didn't use any female games in the entire show. And there were probably, I don't know, like 100 games or something featured. I mean, maybe not that many. Maybe there wasn't that many real games, but there were many real games featured. And that one of them was played by a woman in, Menchik, or there's so many heroic females in the history of chess. Vera Menchik, war hero Ludmila Rundenko, who won the first post-war Women's World Championship. Like there are some really awesome ladies who've played the game, like historically and present. And we are lucky because we're seeing many of them right now in this World Women's Team Championship.
Yeah, this the World Team Championship definitely is featuring some of the best female players in the world. Russia is here with their best team. I mean, Russia has such a deep team that, of course, there are a few women missing. Like, for example, Valentina Gunina is not here. Um, I'm not sure why. I mean, she certainly could have been playing board four or reserve. But maybe they just, I don't know what the reasons are. Maybe her personal schedule or the elite captains of the team just decided to take the more solid players. That's possible as well. We have the top players from Ukraine, the Muzichuk sisters, top players from Armenia, Merkichan and Danielyan, top players from Georgia, only missing Bella Hotanashvili. I mean, really, the only team that's not here is, well, there's USA, USA is missing, but also China. That's a big one.
Yeah. And why is the USA missing?
That's a good question, Jen. So first of all, the timing I think for the U.S. players is particularly awful. The U.S. Championship is supposed to start like next week. So for us to travel across the ocean and travel back and play the U.S. Championship, I think like for me that was personally like just like a no go. Um, that was a big one. Let's see what else.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes a lot of sense, especially with
yeah.
potential COVID restrictions. Like if you were to get sick, you might not be able to get back. So I think it does make a lot of sense. Although it is beautiful to see people playing over the board again, isn't it? Here they're
Yeah,
playing in Spain.
yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely travel is not too pleasant either these days with like a lot more requirements. But I think, I mean, the fact that like none of the US women players are part of the team, I think has to do with the scheduling that wasn't working out.
Yeah, understood. Well, Irina, while we're getting ready for them to start up, we should mention another hot topic in chess right now, that there is this very controversial new sponsor for FIDE and women chess, and it is a breast enlargement company, breast implant company. What is your take on this controversial topic? Because honestly, I've seen a lot of comments about it on social media, and I'd say the majority of them are from men. And of
Oh,
course,
interesting.
I want to
And
hear from women.
what do the men say, Jen?
Oh well, they make silly jokes. No, no, I mean, I think men, they're all over the place. There's a diversity of opinion as well. Like some of them think it's offensive, some of them think that it's okay if executed well, and so I think
Yeah.
there's a pretty good diversity there as well.
Well, I guess my feeling about it is, I would say it's suboptimal, simply not because I think there's anything wrong with, a company that offers medical procedures like that. No, it's completely fine. I guess the only thing is that when it's, let's say, like the main sponsor of a women's chess tournament, I just feel like that association is a little bit strange. It's a little bit, to me, it's like, oh, so who's sponsoring your tournament? Oh, this company that makes it specializes in like breast enlargement. I mean, the association isn't great, even if what the company is doing is completely normal. Like you just kind of feel like you want women chess players to be associated with like qualities of intelligence and strength and all of that, right? So, and I find it when I thought about it, and I just thought of doing the equivalent, let's say for the for the overall world championship, and if we had a similar company sponsoring, I mean, it would be pretty funny. It would inspire a lot of jokes. And I don't know how the players like, I mean, maybe the players wouldn't mind it too much, like, but it would, I think it would feel a little bit strange, for their world championship to be associated with that.
I hear you. I hear you. And I think that's really well said. It's a bit cringy. But yet it's hard to criticize it too harshly for me, because I don't want to give the impression that I'm against breast implants. I mean,
Right.
reconstructive surgery, women might just like be in a career where they feel like it's advantageous to have them. But I also generally just agree with the point that it's you said suboptimal. It's not a good choice, because also there's so many young people that play our game. And I think that it's just not a good association. And chess is so popular now, you'd think that there'd be so many companies that would want to associate with like these real women that are also such brainiacs, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think also, Jen, if there was a mix of companies, it would be less noticeable, actually. That's the thing, it's like when it's like the news like this, because we don't have any other news like this, and this is the only news. It's like, oh, we found a sponsor. This is it, guys, like there was no other companies. This is the only one. I mean, I think, makes it more noticeable. If it was just one out of many, I think, no one would really pay attention. I think the fact that, the women's tournaments don't have as many sponsors in general. And so when they do, it's more like news. And when this is the sponsor, it's even more glaring.
yeah, I hear what you're saying. I will say that I think it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month starts tomorrow. So it's like super important, I think. And I do think that FIDE is going to be putting some attention to that, to like breast cancer awareness. Actually, one of the things that I thought was problematic about implants is that it can sometimes be more difficult to detect cancer. So you have to be even more vigilant about getting your mammograms and whatnot, because you might not be able to feel certain things that you would feel without them. So, keeping that in mind, I think it's really important, because we've lost way too many people to that disease. And, some of it comes from like early detection can stop it.
Yeah.
So anyway, with that in
We're
mind,
we're
I
getting some interesting
get into
things
the
in the
game.
chat, Jen. We have
Yes, of
we
course.
managed to draw our audience into this conversation. So Jaliptic, I'll just read you what he says. He says, especially in a game devoted to intellectual ability, saying that women need to look better, it's kind of digressing back into this archaic idea that women only have their looks. Quite a bad look, in my opinion.
I mean,
Um,
I'm not gonna go. I would say that like I think that's a bit too like general for me. I do think it's a conversation that needs to be opened up, though, that sometimes we focus too much on females' appearances, but I don't think that like breast implants are like the ultimate evil in that respect, right?
yeah.
So I mean, what about a makeup company, right? Would that be terrible too? I don't think so. I think people are a little bit more upset about breasts
Yeah.
because of the fact that it is surgical. That might be one of the things. So it's more
Yeah.
risky. And also that it has like that kind of like more sexual connotation, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Jen. I mean, I would say makeup company, yeah, it sounds a lot more benign from my point of view, right? Like you wouldn't notice it as much. I still think if I really had to say, I would still say it's a little like suboptimal, because I would really want like, just come like if you really want to find a company, something that has to do, with those qualities that I mentioned would be better. That would be the best alignment. Um, I
With
think for chess.
power. Like
Yeah.
speaking of which, we are looking at this game right now with Katarina Llano and Carolina Lahan. And I guess must have been some kind of pairings change, because Katarina just got white. We remember that because she won with that beautiful Sicilian victory. And here she is sticking her knight on d5. Before we end this conversation, though, I'll say another thing. I think that I've been asked so many times over the last couple of days about this. And I have to say, usually it's by well-meaning men who believe that they should ask a woman rather than come up with the opinion themselves. But it's
Right.
also a bit annoying because, I
Yeah.
have done a lot of writing about this with my book, Chess Bitch, and art projects. And I just kind of feel like I wouldn't want the players to get asked about it a lot. You know what I mean? It's like they're trying to play chess. It's almost worse if they're getting like asked about breasts and breast implants. Like, uh, by well-meaning journalists, right? So there's something about
Yeah.
like the execution that I think is integral here as well.
Yeah, I mean, one puzzle piece says, what if the only other sponsors available were even worse? Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to say that, like, I think chess players in general appreciate, all the sponsorships. So I don't think, our goal is to push away any sponsors. Um, yeah, so I mean, yeah, I would say I appreciate that Motiva wants to sponsor chess. You know, what do you think, Jen?
Do I appreciate that Motiva wants to sponsor chess? Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
great. Anybody who believes that chess is such a great game with such a beautiful history that they want to associate it with it, I think that that in itself is good because maybe other companies will think the same thing. And yeah. So I certainly don't think it's bad that somebody wants to associate with chess. But should we say yes to their desire is another question, right?
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, like, I think no matter what, we're in a very appearance oriented world, right? And it's actually potentially getting even worse with Instagram and filters and algorithms that, like if a female player posts a picture of herself playing at the board, how many likes is that going to get compared to her showing a chess position with the move she played? So I think this is a much broader topic than just like breast implants. It goes into like what we value in women, what we value in people, and whether we can kind of change that conversation through the great game of chess, or whether chess is just going to be a mirror for what actually exists. Of course, as a feminist, I want it to be the first one, the one where we're like moving forward, we're changing, but
yeah.
of course in reality it's always some combination of both, isn't it?
Yeah, well, chess, I think, has a good starting point for being different, obviously, I mean, like our game, we have, it's not focused so much on the external, right? I mean, we appreciate, more of like the abstract things and mostly we're chess players, so we appreciate the positions on the board, right? So, all right, Jen.
Well,
Well,
this has been a fascinating conversation indeed. But I'll just end. I have one more thing to say. When I had a child, I spent a few days in the hospital, as that usually happens. And at that point, I decided I would never get plastic surgery for anything, because I was like, well, I mean, never say never, but it really reduced my chances quite a lot, because you realize that, like, that to me, at least, I realized that it was a very uncomfortable situation to have to recover. And while it's well worth it, if you're having a baby, I wouldn't want to do that for something cosmetic. And I didn't really think that before. So the advertising kind of like worked well on me. So anyway, let's get back into the games, as that is what we're here to do. Which game appeals to you? I guess we should probably look at the Ukrainian games mostly this round,
yeah, let's do it.
because they are the favorites here. And if they were to beat Armenia, we would find ourselves with a playoff, because Armenia did upset them in fantastic fashion in the first round. Looks like Alina is well aware of this and playing it pretty close to the vest in this game. Let me just
Yep.
see what the other games are looking like.
Very solid. Maria Muzichuk, who went for d4, not e4, and we have a queen's gambit declined. Not a surprise from Lilith. I think she's been playing positions like this for a long time. It's definitely part of her repertoire, as it is actually for a lot of Armenian players. The queen's gambit declined. It's kind of a tradition in their country to play this opening. So I think they've had lots of players who have played that. Vaganyan comes to mind, yeah, from a long time ago already. I mean, but yeah, even their newer generations. So here we have I think this is going to be interesting. We're probably going to have, well, almost certainly we're going to have long side castling by white. We're probably going to have long side castling by black as well. It doesn't preclude an attack against black's king on the queen side, because white does have that half open c file. So I've seen even plans where white castles queenside Jen, moves the king to a1. That's what she did, and like after knight a4, somewhere even b4 can happen. So I think just looking at the contours of this opening, that this should be an interesting game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, also just looking at their game last round, they're definitely here to fight. What else do we have in that Ukraine match? let's
Yeah, we got
see.
Ushenina resting, so we have
Oh, okay, that's what it is.
yeah,
Right. So we had some different players coming in this round, as Ushen and I had a really tough round last time, didn't she?
Osmak
Um,
and Buksa.
what's that?
Osmak and Buksa.
Ah, that's what it is. Yes. Yulia Osmak, who's going to school in the United States right now. Yeah. Texas, I believe.
Oh, is she?
Yeah,
Oh
I think
yeah,
so.
interesting.
Is it you know, I'll find out in the rate, but I think might be UTB, the Brownsville one. But yeah, I'll make sure to get the correct information for you guys. Maybe the chat knows. Anna Sargazian won that game against Anna Ushin in last round, where we thought that Anna had a nice little edge, nursed it, but maybe nursed it a little bit too much as she ended up losing the game. Knight B6 was just played by Black. This was a Queen's Indian.
Yep, it's the Queen's Indian, this pawn sack line that admittedly I cannot say I know super well. But kind of feels like this was what Alpha Zero was doing. You know, it kind of introduced a lot of new ideas in the Queen's Indian with this pawn sack. And White is thinking, yeah? White is thinking Rook C1. What is Black going to do? I mean, can they play Knight C5 or is that too dangerous? Because there's going to be Bishop takes C7, Queen C7, and B4. Probably that is quite dangerous.
Yeah, good point. A little hard to see that at first because this bishop looks so good. But yeah, hey, bring home the bacon here. Bishop C7 and B4 and take that pawn. That looks like a really dangerous line. So I think Knight C5 is taboo here for Yulia. Huh.
Yeah,
So
what other moves can Black come up with here? Well, 96, then there's Bishop D6, and then the D5 pawn falls.
yeah, but maybe
So
at some point we just want to give up that pawn in the most, you know, graceful way that we can. Is that a graceful way though? So you're saying that
not it's not graceful. It's not like a ballerina
no,
dance there.
no pirouette. Okay. Yeah, 96 is not good. Rook C8 allows knight D6. God,
Yeah.
struggle here. Struggle here to find a good move. Like I don't envy Black. Like the computer bar might say that it's like equal, but we know it's way, way harder to play for Black. Okay, what about, did you mention Bishop G5 yet?
I have not. Yeah.
Okay. Bishop
Yeah.
G5? Can I get away with that? Because I would love to trade off those dark squared bishops and just, you know.
Why does the computer not like that? It must be something interesting.
I don't know. It doesn't like me today. It's them, not
Well,
me.
you know, I mean, there's a lot of things White can do, right? So
I
first
know.
we can think about well, Bishop E5 is an interesting exchange sack. Bishop takes C1, Queen C1, but then you're going to play F6. So that probably doesn't work, but it's kind of interesting.
Well, you could just
Mhm.
Bishop G5 and yeah, Knight D6.
Knight D6, you have to play like Bishop
Yeah,
C6.
it looks very uncomfortable. I don't see a move for Black. I mean, I'm sure there is one because the computer thinks Black's doing okay, but to me, it seems very difficult to play for Black. G6 allows Knight D6, which looks really unpleasant. I think it's probably some high wire act where Black just moves their, you attack my pieces and I just move them somehow, but a very, very difficult task indeed for Yulia. We do not envy her. And so is there one other game that we haven't seen on that side? By the way, this is super important because Anna is playing for Armenia. So if she gets a good position and even wins here, that's going to be really bad news for Ukraine, who must win this game. They must get 2.5 points from the match. And here's the one game we haven't looked at yet, Natalia Buksa versus Gusayan from Armenia. And not nary a pawn has been traded, Irina.
Wow. So Buksa against Gukaxian. And what opening was this? This must have been like some E4, E5, I'm guessing. Am I right, Jen? Or was it like a Rai Lopez that eventually wound up into this? Or is this actually a D4 opening?
It was Roy Lopez. It
It
was a
was a
Roy
Rai.
Lopez. Yeah, we see the closed variation, Breyer. and very typical plans here for the Roy Lopez. The knight goes to g3, hoping to hop into f5. Black relocates that bishop to g7. And at just the right time, white decided to play d5. Always a tough decision because it has a lot of positives and negatives. The negative is that we take away the tension from the position. The positive is that this bishop now looks a little bit unfortunate, right? This bishop is also hemmed in, and we have also gained some space. So white usually plays this move at a very strategic moment.
You know what's interesting is Shansaya is now sitting in her mask. Now, I'm not sure that she was wearing her mask in the first round.
Yeah, sometimes, like I'm like that too. Occasionally maybe you like hear a cough or something and you're like, I just put on my mask.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Sometimes you just like, because in this time, like there's a lot of anxiety. So even if you hear like a cough from across the room, you're just like, okay. I did that at the gym yesterday. Like my gym, everybody has to be vaccinated. You don't need to wear a mask, but it was a crowded class. I was just like, yeah, it's okay. I can do burpees in this. I've done more challenging things in my life. So knight to h2 has just been played by Natalia. What do you make of that move?
All right, knight h2. What's the idea of that? She wants to go knight g4, trade, and take with the h pawn. That's what I make of that because she's definitely not trying to play f4. So I assume that this move knight h2 really has to do with knight g4. And I mean, I like white's position in general. I like positions with more space. White has the pawn on d5 versus the pawn on b4, but center space is more valuable than queenside space. Black has a plan with a4, but I mean, they can go there, eventually trade on b3, and then like try to invade with the rook on a2. But also notice that, the bishop on g7 is closed up by the e5 pawn, which makes it easier for white to play rook a1 eventually. So overall, I mean, I prefer white. Nothing tragic so far. I mean, obviously, white has to do a big job here to actually win the game, but I do like white a bit.
By the way, we should also obviously keep a close eye on this match as it was drawn. The India-Kazakhstan match was drawn in round 1, right? So this is going to be key. They brought in Tanya Sachdev, the famous commentator as well as international master. So will that work to their advantage? We'll find out. As right here, we've got another Roy Lopez. So big round of Roy Lopez's. That's only one of the games, though. We also have Marianne Gomez, who you mentioned she won in a position that we thought was going to be a draw, right? So
Yeah.
she's actually on the hot side of things, and she's got the white pieces here in a ready type position.
Yep.
And
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is still like some kind of theory. I mean, maybe not for Black, who's obviously on her own and thinking, but it's very, very standard. This kind of position, White's got that center pawn majority. And Black, okay, Black needs to think about what are they, I mean, should they take on e4? Taking on e4 is certainly a possibility here. Okay, d4 is probably bad because it loses a pawn after knight a4, most likely. Taking on e4 would be normal. Okay, rook e8. Okay, that's also normal. If white takes on d5, I guess just knight takes d5. So what's white going to do here? Maybe h3 comes to mind. No, that hangs the pawn on g3. Definitely don't do that.
yeah,
Well,
what Irina is referring to is that if we play h3, there would be a pin. Although bishop d3 would maybe allow
not
like
immediately. There's
bishop
still bishop
e3,
e3.
yeah.
Yeah.
And by
And
the
you don't
way,
want to.
white did just play bishop e3 right away because you don't have time for d4. You would need to take on f3 first. So what will black do here? Bishop c5, no good because knight a4 would just be crushing. So we probably just have to move the queen, yeah? Seems like we have
Yeah,
to move
move
the
the
queen.
queen where? To a5? Maybe to a5.
Yeah, so queen a5, we're thinking here might be the choice. And yeah, this looks to me it looks almost like a little easier to play for black. Kind of confused by white's position, although it seems like it's okay. It's just your pieces are a little scattered, and so you need to figure out how to coordinate them. And if you do that, awesome, because you've got this nice pawn in the center, defended well. But let's let's move on to another India game. Maybe the top board. I don't think we've seen their top board playing. Well, Vishali. Oh, so Harika is taking a rest. Is that right? Oh no, she's not.
No, no, no.
I just missed this game. Sorry. Of course. I mean, Harika almost won that game last round against Abdul Malik. It was a fantastic game by both players. Abdul Malik found a wonderful defense. And here it really is the round of the Roy Lopez.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of that opening.
And we saw this with Harika playing white last round as well. So interestingly, that game, white ended up winning 2 pawns, but black got tremendous play, right? And, it's funny that does happen sometimes in the Roy Lopez, because look at how luxurious this opening is. Like, if you're teaching a total beginner, I don't really recommend teaching them the Roy Lopez, because, I mean, you have no development.
I agree, Jen. Well, I think the Roy Lopez is hard to teach for a beginner. It's got so positional, it's so closed and locked. So actually, it's interesting. Most of my students, I think we've spoken about this before. I like when they start out playing, I teach them the Scotch. But recently, I have a student. She's one of my most advanced students, and we're at the level where it's like, okay, we understand positional play, and so now I taught her to play the Roy Lopez. So we made that transition, and I think it's like a logical one, because when she was a beginner, we got to play more open positions. Now, she's kind of ready for the strategic concepts in the Roy Lopez, and actually, it's working well for her.
I like that though, because Scotch is an opening that if that fits your style, you can stick with, or you can kind of branch out afterwards. So that's a good suggestion. The Scotch opening for beginners. I know that the Vienna game, like Levy Rosman has a series on that, I believe. So that's another option. But the Roy, man, I mean, just look at this. Black's developed and white's not. How do you explain that to a kid?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is all very theoretical. Yeah. Okay. So did they just repeat the moves?
Well, no way. No way is Abdumali going to do that. She's here to play. I think she just did that as a little, I don't know, a little tease. Sometimes people do that just to check, because you have to defend the pawn that way. What else can you do? But in any case, we see this position now, and after bishop f8, now if knight g5, you can defend with the rook to e7, so that's okay.
Yeah, a3, it's typical move. Okay, everything is like very, very normal so far.
Almost too normal. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. I'm trying to pretend we're in some kind of horror movie. Well, rook c8 played. Trying to look at this corridor here. This is a bit of an unusual move in the Roy Lopez, honestly, because usually the rook kind of hangs out here so that if pawn takes b5, you're occupying the file. But in this case, I think Black's idea is that if you were to take, instead of capturing towards the center, we might just capture in the non-traditional way to weaken the c3 pawn. What do you think, Irina? Do you think that's true? I'm wondering, like, suppose white were to play here, because positionally, of course, taking with this pawn is right. But I'm like, tactically, hey, take with the other one.
Hmm. Yeah, well, the thing is on c takes b, I think you got to be a little concerned about like d5 ideas, right? Where you can no longer undermine that pawn. White just blocks the bishop. And I feel like, yeah, probably I would take white there. Because, they got the A file that compensates for black C file, but they do have that space, and I don't think black really has anything that compensates for that. I think most likely, Jen, they would still take with the A pawn. Yeah.
You'd still
Despite
think
the
they
rook
take with
being,
a pawn.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I can see this being a dilemma. And by the way, this is the type of position it's good to dwell on, because I noticed that most players under the professional level, they make mistakes in moments where captures are involved, choices of captures, right? So they have 3 choices, and they fail the multiple choice quiz. I find that a lot, and sometimes it's tactical, and sometimes it's strategic, and sometimes it's a combination of both. But that's where you're really vulnerable to make big mistakes. So Irina here saying still take towards the center, because this is just a artificial one move type of idea. D5, B4, C4, congratulations. And I'm still doing fantastic, which, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I think we would be doing maybe even interestingly, c4 is good, even knight c4 is the move, after b4 knight c4.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, b4 knight
Even
c4.
that would I think promise a better game to white.
Knight c4 coming to that knight a5 square, and then sometimes torturing by putting us on c6. Okay, so yeah, this is a very interesting game that will no doubt open up later on. And there's one game I think I'm missing from the India match. Then Vishali's game, Vishali playing against Dinara.
This is so funny. Now I just saw Harika putting on her mask. Oh, it's because she gets to get up. That's why. Because I was like, they're alternating. Now one of them is without the mask. Now the other one's putting it on. It was pretty funny, actually.
They have to wear it, like maybe there's some like cafe area or something that they have to wear it at.
Yeah, I mean, probably when they get up from the board and they go walk around or go to the bathroom or something. It's interesting. All right. Well,
It's funny in
whoa.
chess, like you haven't played any live tournaments yet, have you?
No, I haven't. No,
No.
no, I have not. I'm not really in a hurry to do that because I don't think it's that much fun to play in a mask, which is how most of these tournaments in the U.S. Require that. So, I
In the
mean,
U.S. Championship you're playing in next week, though.
yeah, I guess that's, I mean, they actually haven't told us their regulations at all with regards to anything, any COVID protocols, but I'm assuming, based on what I've seen recently, that that's going to be a requirement.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm playing the World Series of Poker in a couple weeks, some events, and at least in poker, like it does seem like it's obviously difficult to wear a mask for many, many hours, but at least in poker, it also has an advantage that it hides your tells. Whereas in chess, that's not really a thing. Like it could be a thing like once in a blue moon, but for the most part, your opponent being able to see your faces is not really going to help them win the game, right? Very,
Yeah.
very rarely is that the case.
Yeah, it's interesting. And poker is really, for some people, it could be a helpful thing from
Yeah,
the
because it used
game
to not
point
be
of view.
allowed. It used to
Right.
not be, you weren't allowed to wear a mask in the past. Like,
Yeah.
years ago, like if you wanted to wear a mask, I think it was actually prohibited. I mean, it's not even something that would come up that often because, people didn't really wear them. But although there are some cultures where masks have been popular when people are feeling a little sniffly for much longer. But yeah, it just didn't really come up. But I think once it maybe came up because of like somebody wanting to wear a disguise for Halloween, and I don't think it's even allowed because the idea was you'd be like impersonating someone. So they've actually had to change the rules to allow for it.
Wow.
But anyway, this position is kind of unusual, Irina. Yet another Roy Lopez. And I've never really seen this motif in the Roy Lopez. Like it's knight went to c3 and then the knight came to d5. And then somehow this knight got to b4, a very odd construction. So white is looking to double the pawns on c6, which she'll certainly be able to do because bishop d7 is forced here. And then we saw knight c6, bc6, and now this interesting move
Hmm.
c5.
Okay,
Tripling
so
pawns would
that's the
not be
concept.
advisable.
There had to be something like that because otherwise I didn't really understand what white was doing. I mean, now that I see c5, I see that there's some kind of specific idea, although I'm still not like 100% convinced by the whole thing, but okay. I mean, queen b8, I guess you could just going to castle, and then on queen b4, you'll probably just play, what will you play? Will you play bishop e3? Just, okay, different approach. So okay, very logical play by Block. But I don't know about that. Queen on e7, there was something to be said about this queen b8 plan, but all right. Yeah, I mean, I would say that white looks a bit more comfortable. They're going to play like rook ac1 next. And Mhm.
Yeah, rook c1, sure. What about knight g4 here? I guess you can take on d6 and you can't take on c6 yet. I just would
Probably
love
just
to get rid.
bishop d2.
Yeah, you don't want to give me up your bishop. I know. I knew it. You didn't want to
Yeah.
give up that bishop. But at some point, I could consider taking this pawn. It looks like very poisonous, but one of these days I might do it. I guess just because well, the computer doesn't like me. But I was thinking at some point I would just take it. The problem is, like, I think when you play h3 and I'm forced just to go back, that's kind of annoying because it also leaves this pawn more or less hanging again. Yeah. I need a better place for my knight. Okay, well, Vishali looks like she's got a very intriguing setup here as we keep our eye on the two matches that look close. If anybody has any other requests, we can pop in on other games for a while, but really, like, these are the two matches that bring tension to the round, right?
Yeah, definitely. These two are the ones to watch. Maria Muzichuk. Okay, this is interesting. Her game has developed quite a bit. She's up on the clock again against Lilith. Maybe we can go back a little bit and see how this happened.
Yeah, let's see how it happened. Knight b5 was just played, so offering a queen trade there.
They
Well,
both
both players,
castled queenside.
yeah, both players castled queenside. And both of them completed their castle with king b1 and king b8, something you see a lot when people castle queenside, that the king is not really safe until it gets out of that potential open c file. So now knight b5 looks like it's going to coerce black to trade the queens. And yeah, I mean, this should be like it seems like it should be a small advantage for white because of the isolated pawn, but how serious will that be? I mean, I like Muzichuk's game. If queen takes
Yes. Well,
c2,
this reminds
bishop
me a little
takes
bit of
c2.
Geryachkina's game. You
Yeah.
know what I'm curious about, Jen? So how did this move c5 happen? Can you just put that on the board for a second? Because I mean,
Yeah.
that's obviously not
After king b1, she decided to play c5 here. And you're
okay.
right.
So that's the thing, yeah, that I would be thinking about. I mean, I guess she was. I mean, what was she worried about? E4 wasn't really a threat. The d4 pawn was hanging. She just didn't really know what to
Hmm.
do, I guess.
Maybe she was worried about takes on g6 followed by e4. Because if you take on g6, I assume you're wanting to take for the h pawn, and then I could take twice and
Yeah.
play e4. So c5, I can see why Irina is not happy with this move. But also maybe she underestimated knight b5, or alternatively, she thinks that she's doing okay here. Knight c4. So she did not take on c2, which would kind of, give her a worse endgame. She thinks that this is a better move because it attacks e3. Well, the knight is pinned though. But it more importantly attacks this knight on b5 for the moment. So what does white do now?
Um, yeah, I like knight c4. I think it would
Me
have been too
too.
bad to go into an end game. It would be quite dismal for black. I mean, at least not fun. Knight c4 with the queens on the board and some potential ideas against the white king. That's much better. So yeah, white's going to save their knight. They're going to go to d4.
Then I might play
And
some kind of tricky move, like maybe something like queen b6, which I think would.
yeah,
I'm threatening knight a3 check and knight takes e3. So I
yeah,
think it'd
that's
be,
great.
but you're compelled to take here, right? And then maybe you can take on e.
Well, if I'm compelled, then I feel
You're
like
not.
at least I don't know. It doesn't look too bad for black. I mean, I see the
No, it
beauty of
doesn't, because I get to take with the queen here, right?
yeah. I
Yeah.
I would feel okay about this position. Like I don't see anything offhand that makes me think it's very bad
Yeah.
for white for
So pretty
black. Yeah.
smart. But I have a feeling that like this game feels like even though there's a lot of pieces and interesting things happening now, like in that variation I just looked
She went
at, like
bishop d7 actually, Jen, with on knight d4 bishop d7, which I think is
knight.
interesting too.
Okay, knight d4 bishop d7. So
I like
uh
that.
even more aggressive, because like I was just about to say that if that variation had panned out, there was a lot of trades in the offing and it could be a little bit drawish. This move, on the other hand, more combative.
Yeah, no, I like the way Lilith is playing it because actually, Jen, the knight on g3 is kind of out of play. And I mean, it would like to, let's say, be what the other knight is on d4, but now you can't have two knights on the same square. So she's trying to eliminate that potential for white to trade on e6. And the knight on c4 looks good. I think your idea with queen b6 is definitely in the cards. I mean, she might play rook c8 and then queen b6. Yeah, so I like what black is doing, and I feel like, the game is balanced for now.
That's right. And we wish you could play a move like b3 and win your queen, but in fact, we're going to lose our queen after knight a3 check. So that's not on the menu. But what about just a move like rook c1?
Yeah, rook c1, rook
Just trying to
c8.
take on c4. Yeah. And then if you play rook c8, if take on c4, which way were you were going to take with the pawn?
Yes, yes. No, no boring,
Yeah.
isolated queen pawn position.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to lead to a really interesting structure, which is fun for this match. Maria Muzichuk and Lilith playing
Yeah.
quite an interesting game. Anna Muzichuk, last time I looked at this, it looked like a somewhat less enterprising opening. Or
Yeah,
one
white
that
is trying to be very solid. You know,
exactly
and I
because
think
of
that's a fine strategy for this match because, Anna Muzichuk is certainly one of the, one of those dangerous players on their team. So I can understand Alina's strategy here and really don't blame her too much for kind of playing like this. Although, yeah, I mean, how does Black equalize this? I guess they can always take on d4 and play like pawn c5 or pawn e5. They might have to
yeah.
do it because otherwise their c pawn's going to be kind of weak. Although,
What's the deal here? What is y8? Oh, okay. So I could play like rook d1, and then when you play c5, then like play bishop h6. So this is the thing, and then I actually win material, right?
nice, nice. And then e3.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
can't go back. So that sequence, and it's same thing if you play e5, by the way, right? It's exactly the same, bishop h6 and e3. So I think you can't take on that. Or I mean, the computer thinks you can. I guess they just want to sacrifice the exchange after c5, bishop h6. They just want to move the queen and let you take the rook. And I don't know. Or maybe like, right? Like where though? Hmm.
Yeah, no, but white's going to be better here. It's not,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah, I
think
think
it's gonna be
so. I
close.
think so. I mean, it's true we have moves like rook b8, so we might be able to get some more pocket change for the exchange. But okay, this I don't think is going to transpire because I have a feeling she just won't take on d4. Like that's a lot of headache to deal with. We don't have to take on d4, do we?
No, no, she can look for something else. Although I don't know what, like queen d5, rook b8. I mean,
Yeah, maybe starting with rook b8, sure.
queen b6 as well as some kind of a move.
Yeah.
Rook b8 is a pretty good start. Yeah, of course. Make the rook active, and then queen will come to d5 at some point in the near future. So
Very
I
important
think,
game.
yeah, I mean, I think Daniel Yan, you know, will be able to keep control of this game, is my prediction. And despite being quite a bit down on the clock, though, so that maybe Anna will maybe try to exploit that factor. But guys, we are going to go to our break, our first break of the round, and we're going to be back in just a few minutes with more coverage.
All right, we'll be right back.
Welcome back, guys, to our coverage of the second round of the day at the FIDE Women's World Team Championship that is taking place in Spain until this Saturday. So right now we're in the quarterfinal stage, and we're seeing which four teams are going to advance to the semifinals. We have a very suspenseful situation here where Team Ukraine is trying to make a comeback against Team Armenia. And if they manage to win this match, we will see a tiebreak. Then we also have Kazakhstan and India that drew their first round. If there is no winner in round two, we will also see a tiebreak there. And we're more confident about the team from Russia and Georgia advancing after just 2 rounds of play, right, Jen?
Yes, definitely. I mean, 3.5. I mean, of course, we still have to keep an eye on the games, right? Because it's match points, but it did seem like such dominant performances that we do expect those ones be unlikely for those scores to reverse, right? Particularly with Russia versus FIDE Americas. That one was particularly lopsided on almost every board. But jumping back into the games, indeed, as we've got some goodies on our hands here. Alina Daniela, and I think we might have left at this point where Queen D5 was played, and then we saw Queen B3, and a trade of queens in this game, you know, seems likely that it could end in a draw, and that would be a very good result for Armenia, even though she's playing with the white pieces. Anna is such a strong player. And don't forget that if they were to draw every game, they would win and knock out the mighty Ukrainians, right? So that would be huge. Let's take a look at the Anna's sister's game, Maria. Well, this one is way more combative, as we were looking at this enterprising knight c4 move, changing the structure from an isolated queen pawn position to one in which I mean, I don't know how you call this. How do you call this pawn, Irina? It's a very advanced pawn. It's gone from an isolated queen pawn position to a gosh,
Pawn majorities on both sides position.
Yeah, a pawn majorities on both sides. And this pawn on c4 is an interesting pawn because it could become a weakness, right? But it could also become a pain in the butt. So
yeah,
which
I
one's
like
it going
her
to be?
move Queen D6. I mean, she's attacking the knight on G3, not really giving white a big choice. So I think, oh, so I'm pretty sure white made a move here, Jen, because white probably played knight G2. And right now I see black's clock ticking down again. So I think we need to update that.
Yeah.
Knight G2, and then black is probably interested in looking at the move knight D5, rook H E8, and things like that.
Yeah, it looks very exciting for black, actually. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's some good moves here for white, but from you mentioned knight d5 and rook e8, and I'm getting pretty scared. So maybe white needs to play for e4 at some point. But first, of course, we need to move this. Where is there any other square we can move it to?
And by the way, there's even knight d5 and then maybe knight b4 and knight d3. You see, the computer is evaluating this as equal.
I wonder about maybe a move like this, though. Like maybe we just need to stop this and then get file control.
No, that's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Just queen. Oh yeah, except you know, Jed, I almost blundered my queen with queen e5. Nice position.
Oh yeah, knight c6 check would be very good there, right? So wait a second.
Yeah.
What actually happened? I'm confused. I thought we got different moves. It looks like we got different moves on the board. Maybe maybe some of our analysis was getting inputted. Apologies, guys, because these are the actual moves on the board. Although that's odd because I don't feel like we played all of those moves. But
yeah, we didn't play all of them. Yeah.
But whatever, this is the current position on the board, which makes a lot more sense because that was looking really nice for black. But what about this one? This one makes
yeah, this one is not as good for black, obviously. I mean, they have a lot less play.
No, because they're also trying to attack this pawn, right? I mean, they're trying to trade off pieces, and the isolated queen pawn will be a big weakness. So bishop d7, knight f5 will grab this guy. Bishop takes d7. Rook takes d7, knight f5, for instance, would be one sample variation, which would look nice for white. So
Yeah, and
So
also we need to notice that like the knight on f6 is hanging. And actually black cannot get too frisky taking this 8 g2 pawn. Because certainly I think their king will come under attack as well. And yeah, like that knight hanging and that whole diagonal hanging, actually. I'm sure black cannot even begin to contemplate taking that pawn. It's quite the opposite. Black needs to, you know, play either rook c8 or queen d6, something like that. But they got to go back to the center and make sure their king doesn't get attacked.
let's see what else we've got going on in this match. It's looking very tense. I mean, this game looking nicer for Maria Muzichuk. The first board looking pretty equal, which would bring us down to the final two boards. Anna Sargazian, who we really liked her position earlier against Julia Osmak. But what is going on now? Right now, she's actually down a pawn. So she better had something or she's going to be in trouble here.
Yeah, it
Queen of
doesn't look like she has very much. I mean, black is pretty solid with their knight on the c5 outpost and the queen on f3.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
this bodes really well for Ukraine then. I mean, I think we're gonna see it. I think there's a good chance we're gonna see a tie break. We just need to see that one last game. There's one remaining game. It's Bosca, right? Natalia?
Yes,
Where is
Buxa. Buxa.
Buxa? Where is it? I'm looking for that game. While I do that, oh, here it is. Buxa Natalia. And this rich battle here, very, very close position. I mean, way too early to call this one. That's not a single pawn or piece has been traded, Irina.
Yeah, this is
That's
quite
unusual.
unusual. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think, I think black is playing fine for now. I mean, well, I mean, white has not made any progress on the king side just yet, and it is like kind of interesting, like how would they go about it? Because I mean, f4 also opens up black's pieces as well, gives them the e5 outpost. So that's not super likely. On the other hand, black is really stuck there with a bishop on b7. They can't really play a4, can't play f5. They really can't do much. So black is very passive, and so the only question is how does white improve this position? I mean, but it's like you don't really want to open up the bishop on g7 either. But you can always go like knight e2, g3, f4 if you really want. I mean, you can consider those plans, but it's double-edged, not so clear.
I think this is also interesting from a strategic point of view because Ukraine might need to play for a win at some point, or they might be able to get to the tiebreak with a draw. And it's like playing this close to the vest gives you so many different options, like go wild later. Look at this move, rook f8. Nice move. I like the move because she is looking at the possibility of playing f5 later, potentially preparing it further with like bishop c8. Very, very close position. So you have time for these kind of long-winded maneuvers that would usually be ridiculous in even semi-open position. But this one is as close as it gets. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little tricky when, you get down on time, nothing has happened yet, right? At some points,
exactly.
I mean, it's not only working in white's favor. Like I don't even know whose favor that sort of works. By the way, Jen, a4, I just realized actually is a move. A4, b takes a4, knight b6. I mean, I think black can consider that, especially with the tempo on the c4 pawn.
Yeah, but we could just ignore it also. Is it so dangerous for your rook to come to a2?
And
Maybe
it's
we
not
can
so
just,
it's not that it's so dangerous, it's just that it's at least some counterplay, and I think
yeah, but
black should be going for that.
I'd certainly prefer ignoring it than taking on a4. Yeah.
Yeah. I think she will play a4. I mean, why not? I mean, there's no other possible counterplay for black.
Before we get into lots of time pressure, Irene, I want to mention to you that I read on the break an article about women's reactions to the breast implant sponsorship. And
Oh,
most of them were very negative, but here's what's interesting. Almost
yeah.
all of the negative comments were anonymous, and most of like the more like average or even positive reactions were quoted, which to me is actually really sad because it's like that's a big problem if people don't feel like they can criticize something publicly, right?
I agree. I mean, I think it's very sad. I mean,
Is it because
Um,
they're scared, or is it because they're a professional player and they think like maybe there would be like some kind of like,
yeah,
less invitations, or is it more just like it's not cool to be like, people might think it's like kind of Puritan to be super against it, and so they just don't want to like talk about it publicly and get
my
into
guess,
it?
if I had to make a guess, it would be that these are the women themselves that are maybe most affected and like they're actually going to be playing in these tournaments. And I think, I mean, because that's, yeah, that's what makes the most sense to me. Like, I mean, if you're not playing in those tournaments, like, okay, you're really, what's the downside to expressing your opinion? How, like, I don't see why you need to be anonymous. But if you're playing in the tournaments and this is going to be the sponsor from who you're going to get money, you just might not feel comfortable, saying anything in public. And I mean, it's not going to look very nice if the players who are getting the money from the sponsor are then expressing discontent, right? So they're probably I'm guessing it's ladies like that.
Yeah, or maybe people who just don't want to get asked about it a lot. That could be another thing too. It's just like people just don't want to get interviewed about it nonstop. So being anonymous could like stop you from, can you talk more about your opinion on this, because that could be just kind of exhausting, especially if
Yeah.
it's a negative topic, like a sore point. Nobody really wants to talk about something that like they feel, well, some people do want to, but some people just want to like, okay, this is my opinion. I don't like it, but I don't want to talk about it all the time. Right.
Yeah,
So
I think
yeah.
my feeling as a player, it would be just that I just wouldn't dwell on it. I mean, like I'm a player, I want to focus on the chess and like all of that is kind of on the outside. If you dwell on it too much, I think it becomes like a bigger problem, so I wouldn't think about it. Just play
Yeah. And
chess.
I think, and that could exactly be the problem though, that, bringing it into the limelight forces women to kind of like, or compels some women to kind of like get their head out of the game and think about this like controversial topic. So in any case, I thought that was kind of an interesting addendum there. Okay. So the move A6 was just played by Livy Mercatian in this game that I happen to have open, and the computer hates this move. Let's figure out why. Um, right now, is it because rook h3 maybe, Irina, and you're forced off the diag?
But you'll come
No.
back. You'll come back to e5.
Yeah, you come back to
Oh no,
e5.
oh yeah, you'll come back to e5. Yeah, the rook
That
e1 is
seems
still
okay,
protected.
but then maybe f4 right after. Does that force you off?
I have checks on f5. It's okay. It's not
Yeah, you
bad.
got to check on f5. True, it's a bit of a mess, but it
There
looks
must be something
legit.
else, Jen. So let's look for it.
Maybe
Well,
just
first
knight
of all,
d6,
yeah, knight d6. Okay,
simple
that's
chess,
yes.
or there's also queen d4, by
Queen
the
d4
way.
is interesting. I was just looking at that, but maybe that's not terrible for black, I would
It's
actually
just
say.
pawn takes b5, queen takes f6.
Yeah, maybe like, well, queen c7. I mean, it's a bit worse. Even there, I would prefer, of course, white. But I think knight d6 is the move to look at, Jen. Let's take a look at that. Knight d6, rook c7.
Yeah, so this is the
Right.
reason that Lilith probably thought that like things were cool because you can just play rook c7. But I wonder if, so rook c1,
Rook c1, it doesn't look that cool. It looks very
rook
problematic.
c1, yeah, rook c1 is the problem, huh? Because you can't play rook c8 because the knight on d6 protects that square. And if you take it, it comes with a check, but then it comes with an
Checkmate.
oh
Yeah.
no at the end of the check, is you can't really protect this at all. Nope, you can't.
Yeah, no, I mean, you see, Jen, I told you that queen on g3, I wanted to see it go back. Somehow it did not go back, and this is the scenario that I was afraid of, like a queen that is just cut out of the action, and it was quite clear there was an attack coming on the black king. So I am very concerned for black's position at this point. Can we go back just a couple of moves? How did she allow this to happen?
Um, she just played a6. I think after bishop a5, knight b5, is it already really bad? Or
Yeah,
does she
yeah,
have a
like
better
before
defensive
that,
move here?
like was it
But
rook c8 or like bishop
I think
takes
it
d5 that was the problem because
I think it was
bishop
a6. It seems like it was a6 because the computer in this position doesn't hate the position. And can we play something that doubles our? I'm curious why we can't play rook
queen, maybe
c4.
queen e5 or
Why is rook
uh-huh.
c4 so terrible? Is it because of queen e7? It's a complicated position. It's like it's not that easy to figure out all these things because I'm like looking at rook c4. Maybe there's just queen e7, and that looks really good.
Yep, yep.
So maybe, what about rook c6? Is that better? Because now I protect my knight. Maybe. maybe, but
But
it still looks very, very dangerous for black
yeah, I can also
regardless.
take on, taking on g6, maybe you take with the queen.
So apparently there's some kind of defense here, but it's really hard to see. And it is a very just incredibly dangerous position for white because of this very simple idea of just removing the defender of b7. So let's look
Yeah.
at that again. So
I think that this whole trade on b5 was kind of weird.
So a6, rook c7, rook c1. And the problem is because we played a6, we can't even play b6 and try to hang on, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem. And something like
Oh.
b5 is it's hard not to
Yeah.
laugh because this is absolutely terrible. You can simply take on c7 and play rook c1 check, and it's 3 pieces against 1, right? 3 pieces against the king. It's just not going to do it.
Yep. Yeah. So what can she do after 19? What's the position on the board? Is Muzichuk still thinking? It looks like she's still thinking.
Yeah, I think so. She is still thinking after a6, but undoubtedly she's looking at knight d6. But there are a lot of possibilities here. So she's taking her time. She's got 25 minutes, a time advantage as well. So hey, if Maria does this for her team, it combined with Yulia's position, it looks like we're extremely likely to be headed to tiebreak, guys.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Because Anna Sargazian is in some trouble here too. Although, the position is a bit messy, but I don't know. Black looks like they have pretty good control. They have to just, there's no weaknesses here. So they just have to make sure not to miss any one move tactics or something. And if she does that, she's probably just going to win the game, let alone might only need to draw it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, very interesting for us, Irina, as it means we're probably going to get to see a tie break. Now, the only way that could change is if, Black would have to win this position and they'd have to draw one of those other 2 positions that look pretty bad. So I don't know. I don't see it happening. I see Ukraine winning this match.
Yeah, I agree, Jen. A4 did happen, by the way, by Gukasyan.
Nice
And
move.
that's the move, yeah, we were thinking about. And yeah, now white is thinking. I still like her position in this game. Let's take a look at Anna Muzichuk. Has there been any progress in that endgame? Maybe something interesting has developed? Okay. Bishop h6. Oh, interesting. She wants to play e3. She wants to kind of activate that bishop. And if black takes on d4, then she wants to go rook e7, or maybe to go rook d1. Maybe even that. No, probably take on e7 and then save rook d1 for later, is my guess. I think she's doing quite well. I think that repositioning of the bishop gives me some positive feelings, Jen, like the whole idea of playing e3 and also locking up black's bishop. Makes sense. And then you still have the 2-on-1 majority on the other side of the board. Now, okay, black can obviously play a4. A4, yeah, like that would be a very normal move, in fact. What would white do? Is white just gonna drop a pawn and just go for activity? That wouldn't be like completely shocking to me. But because how do you hold the pawn? You can't go like moves like rook b1, can you? Maybe you can. In fact, maybe you can, Jen. Maybe you should just do it because it's a pass pawn. It's a pass pawn. He hasn't been captured yet. Let's keep it. A takes.
Right, because although yeah, a takes, sure. Yeah, you sometimes get some tactics here in the back rank too. So black has to be a little bit careful because of the mating net. So yeah, I can see what you mean here. But I just think that the match is in trouble for Armenia, regardless of this, just because those other positions look so bad. So even if Danielle is getting an advantage here, Anna is such a good player. She probably won't win. And then on top of that, those other games, Maria Muzichuk looks crushing. She did play knight d6. Now we're just waiting for her to play rook c1. And I don't think she's going to have any trouble finding and playing that move. And there it is, Lilith Mercatian in deep water here, as she looks like she's about to go down to Maria after playing a fantastic first game against Maria. Dazzling us. It looks like she's not going to be able to hold this one. Asmak is in great shape here, up a pawn. I mean, she might not win. If she doesn't win, if it's only a draw, that does open things up for maybe Buksa to, well, Buksa would have to lose. So Armenia would have to win this board. Kuka Saigon. But I mean, this position's very wild. Anything could happen. I mean, it's not wild. It's so closed. It's going to open up later and we could see any result. So let's take a look at it in at the India games, because it seems like this match favoring Ukraine. But if there's heroism on board 4, it could turn in the other direction.
Yeah, so Gomez, from that Reti opening, how is her game going? I like the way this game is going. I mean, she got in her, E4, F4. She still has the bishop pair. And most importantly, I don't particularly see the counterplay for black, right? I mean, other than like various ideas of putting the pawn on c5, which you can't really do very easily because there's always rook b5 with tempo. I like white's position. Now, in terms of what is the plan for white, that's a good question because that's not completely obvious. Yeah, actually, that needs to be answered, Jen. I said I like white, but like in fact, what's the plan? I mean, black's queen can always go back to c7. Black is very solid as well.
Yeah, black is solid. I mean, it makes sense because the pawn structure is more coherent, right? 2 pawn islands versus 3. That gives black some like nice control over certain squares. Like this knight in a way functions as an outpost, right? That's very useful, especially with this knight duo here. So yeah, this one's still pretty rich. But let's see if we can find any games that are just completely lopsided, so we can see who's got like the favorite in the match. Well, there's Abdul Malik. Let me refresh this one because we looked at it a long time ago. This is the current position. Okay. Also looks quite tense, even material. I mean, black's pieces look better than white's. This bishop has more scope than this bishop, and this knight is ready to invade on f4. So potentially a bit of an advantage here for Harika from a practical point of view, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And again, we see a bad light squared bishop in the game between those two. Last game, it was Harika who had that bad light squared bishop on a2. Now it is Abdulmalik who has a rather inferior bishop. And I also want to point out, Jen, I think the queen on a4 is rather misplaced. I mean, it's on the side of the board. I don't think there's going to be a lot of action there. I mean, unless white plays b4, which really doesn't do all that much anyway. But right now, their e4 pawn is hanging. They have this immediate problem. Yeah, the knight can always go to f4. And there's not even time to play like, g3 and bishop g2 like you would actually like to do. So I do see a bit of a practical problem because, I mean, you just don't want to play f3. f3 is horrible. How do you protect this pawn? You can't go bishop d3. So what's the answer here, Jen?
The answer for this position not being absolutely terrible, huh? Well, so queen a4 was just played and then knight df6. Okay, so this is what it just happened.
I think I know what it is, Jen. There must be something like rook e3 and rook e1 ideas.
I see. Yeah.
I think only tactical,
Yeah. Okay. Well, regardless, it's gonna. Oh, did she play a move? Oh, she played f3. She just played f3, did Zantaya.
Okay. Well, positionally, it's just not very good. I think you can pay. You tend to pay for moves like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The bishop was bad enough already. Nail in the coffin, as they say. But we've seen Zantaya was the one who got out of trouble against Harika last round with her brilliant resourcefulness in the endgame. So don't count her out yet. But another advantage in the game from Harika. Well done. Getting such a nice position. What else do we have here from that match between India? What about Sachdev? We haven't checked in on her in a while. Is the game still underway? Yeah, here it is. She's still playing Tanya Sachdev, and woo, looks fantastic. What's going on here? She's got like, what, 1 million pawns? she's down a piece, but she's got 3 pawns for it. And what pawns they are?
Wow. Okay. So it looks like she has really great compensation because honestly, White's pieces don't give the impression of being very coordinated. Like nothing very stable about White's position. White's about to lose another pawn, so it's going to be 4 pawns, and the king is weak, and Black's got the bishop here.
Yeah,
So Tanya doesn't have a lot of time, but she has a really good position.
and F5 looks like a good move, just bringing a pawn into the attack. It's bad when you can just like march a pawn into the attack, and that might be the thing that tips them over. We already looked at this game. We mentioned that it's kind of hard to say right now. Both players seem to be playing well. Queen A5, I think, was your suggestion, and indeed it was played. And then the other game we haven't looked at is Vashali. So far, it looks like it's an advantage, though, for advantage going to India so far, because Harika looks good, Tanya looks fantastic, and what's going on with Vashali will give us greater insight into how favored India is to take this down and advance the semis.
Vaishali always has less time. Interesting. I've never really seen her even on the clock with anyone. I remember watching her a game with Kostanyuk. She was doing really well in the preliminary stage, and then she wound up losing a very favorable position. So that's the thing to watch out for her. Here she's actually up a pawn. That's important. She's up a pawn. Black's king is weaker. Yeah, she's doing great. I mean, that's why the computer here is really favoring white, just a material advantage on the board. That F5 pawn can be attacked at some point. I wouldn't be, shocked if we saw a move like Queen F3 somewhere.
Yeah, a lot of weaknesses. I mean, this is the downside of playing moves like F5. I keep complimenting such moves, but if you compare Tanya's king when she's going to play F5 to Dinara's king, there's a big difference, and so that light square control is lacking here. Well, it looks like really good news for India, guys. So let's take a look again at Zansaya's game, because somebody mentioned something to me about the game. Yeah, I saw something in the Twitch chat that said Sansaya is losing. So while Harika had a good position a few moves ago, we didn't feel like it was losing. But has it gotten even worse? Yeah, maybe, because the knights are even better coordination now, right? This knight on E5 will combine well, especially when the big gun comes into the game, right?
Yeah, and somewhere, I mean, Black can take the knight on D5 since that's White's only good piece, and then Black doesn't really need their bishop that much, so that's a trade that is at least in the cards. And yeah, White with such a bishop in F1, I mean, it's enough to have one bad piece to lose a game, guys. So I really don't like the trajectory of this game. Now they're pretty much even on the clock, so I think Harika will be enjoying this position.
Yeah, very, very nicely played by Harika. I know Sansaya will fight in the end, but she is in trouble. And this is beyond trouble here for Lily Makachian, who is in big trouble. It is White's move here, so she can't play rook takes b7. At first, I hallucinated that. It is White's move, and yeah, like we just won a crucial pawn in front of your king. What could go wrong? I mean, you can just move our rook back to b6 and take the a pawn, and
Yeah, well, right now Black is up a piece, so White still has to do something. I think this guy is here.
Well, rook b6 does attack this knight and threaten mate, right? Well, I guess it's not mate. You have rook a7. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, rook b6, you still
Looks
have
really bad
to.
though. Rook a7, king a7, and rook c7. Is there something better than rook? Is there something better than rook b6
though? Is there something better? That's a good question.
Oh, rook b6 looks like the move, right? Looks very good. Keeping the pieces on the board.
Rook d6, what do you want to do?
You're playing rook d6 here, right? Because you're protecting it with the queen. Interesting. I keep trying to think about making the move f4, and like I've been trying to play f4 for a while. Maybe now is the moment.
We even have a funny move. Yeah, we have a funny move like rook c8.
Yeah. Apparently, this was not the best move, but it's good enough. The computer says there was better. Maybe.
Rook c8 maybe
just queen a5 might be
maybe that
a cleaner move here. just
Yeah, that wins. Checkmate.
pretty much
Okay.
forcing you to take on b6. And once you do that, I'm attacking like every single one of your pieces at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the important ones at least. Yeah, very,
Yeah,
very
so
nice.
Muzichuk, yeah, she's definitely convincingly winning this game. And I think we're just gonna go to our short break before we get back into these games, guys, as they head into the most exciting time trouble part.
Let's do it.
Next week, we are going to have the start of the U.S. Chess Championships. Watch as 12 of the strongest chess players in the United States, Nakamura, Caruana, uh, and the top 12 female players in the U.S. battle for the title of the best player in the country. Tune in to watch the U.S. Chess Championships starting on October 5th, and don't miss a single move of this exciting tournament. And you guys can root for me as I play there as well. And we're going to have lots of exciting players. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah. Number 9 for you, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a long way to go. You got to fight for it,
Well, I do have a lot of friends playing in the event, but I'm definitely rooting for you. You always play so well in those events. Well, not always, but usually.
Yeah, except when I play so well, except when I don't, right?
Yeah, well, there you go. I think that's a Yogi Bearism. But yes, and it's pretty cool to see Nazi Pakidze get back into the action. It's going to be a really interesting event. I think Carissa Yip skipped it the last.
No, I think Carissa is playing.
No, 2 years ago. The last time we had it live, I think she had to skip it because of school, but she's back in the mix. That would have been like, really? I mean, that would have been like 3 years ago or something, right? Because we had like this gap. And then Jennifer Yu is not playing this year, though.
Yeah, I noticed that we don't have a few of our younger players. Like Jennifer was the main one that came to mind. And also Annie Wang, actually. Annie Wang, I did not see her in the lineup. So I guess, the girls have started college and are just really busy with their academics. It is an unfortunate time, when you're in the middle of your semester and to take 2 weeks off. It's not easy at all. And I remember doing that sometimes when I was in college, Jen, and yeah, it was rough combining your schoolwork with playing in like tournaments around the world.
It is, and they get into such great schools, Irina, and that's good to see. That chess has helped them with their academics and career, like Jennifer Yu going to Harvard, Annie Wang, MIT. So they are definitely like stars on and off the board. Whoa, what happened here? Katarina Llano and Carolina Lujan made a draw. Okay, that was the first game finished out of in our mix. And here you predicted that Danielin might actually get a nice game here with this B pawn, but I think that Anna Muzichuk is going to have that neutralized, right?
Yeah, of course, Muzichuk, I mean, she can even, well, I was going to say she can double up, but it's not so simple. I mean,
like rook A6 and rook B6.
Yeah, the thing is that there are these back rank ideas, actually. So if you always have to watch out for rook C1. And so my question is actually, what is she doing to neutralize that? Maybe she'll play bishop D8. Maybe that's one idea. It's kind of interesting. Kind of knock the rook over to like D7 if she wants to stay there. And then maybe even bishop A5, bishop B4. I mean, it's possible to play that way because her bishop's not really doing very much on F6. Anything else I can suggest? Well, yeah, I mean, that's my main probably idea for black because, I mean, she can play rook C8, but I'm not so sure how that helps her. It's just going to help the white pawn advance. So I still don't think things are going too badly for Alina. I think black has to make some big decision right around here.
Let's take a look at, okay, so this is kind of the same. And then Maria has already won or no, Liliet's still trying to think, but yeah, this one's not going to go in her direction. Rook B8 was played here. And now we have rook A6, rook A7, and
hey Jen, I'm sorry, can I interrupt? I see something in the chat. It's a funny question. I don't know what our audience member is talking about. He says, why are they not in kitchen? So I'm not sure what that's about. But when I heard that, I was like, there is maybe something even less optimal, maybe than a breast enlargement company sponsoring women's chess. It could be maybe like a kitchen supplies company sponsoring chess because that association isn't that great either.
I totally disagree. Because the idea would be that their husbands are at home with the kitchen material.
Oh, okay. Well, only if you make some advertisements like that. But yeah. I mean, but you have to see how it's framed. Like if we just know that it's like, here's like, the kitchen supplies. I mean, without any sort of context, I think, that association is also suboptimal.
Well, I like Glamdring's 27's comment. They're too busy throwing the kitchen sink at their opponents. Love that.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a
But
good one,
Irina, the
yes.
most thing is I'm very jealous that you are so sheltered from like the negativity that you rarely see online, because most people are just so wonderful in this community. But you've never heard that like why aren't they in the kitchen like meme before? That's like the first time.
Well, no, I've heard that concept before, but it just made me think, just since we were talking about that, like it could also be a kitchen manufacturer sponsored the Norway chess tournament.
Oh, really? What's the name of that company? I wasn't aware of that. See, that's the thing. Like a lot of times you hear these companies and you don't necessarily research them. Some of them have like generic names, unless you're like involved in the organization or a member of the press. You might just kind of like see the name and not even know what it stands for, which is of course not what they want. But I wasn't aware of that. I probably heard the name and did not know. Pumpkin the cat says I forget. Okay, well maybe somebody else knows what it is. Anyway, speaking of throwing the kitchen sink at your opponent, Maria has certainly done that in this case. And what else do we have here? Yulia
I'm thinking Queen A5. I'm thinking Queen A5 there, Jen.
Yeah, we might as well just look at this bloodshed because it's not going to last very long.
Is Queen A5 the move?
Yeah.
Looks like it can be.
Looks pretty awesome to me. Rook takes A6, queen takes A6, check and mate. You'd have to play like rook takes B2. Oh God. It's the problem. These heavies are just working so beautifully together, right? Queen A5, rook B7, rook C8, checkmating. So yeah, this is Gonzers. And what a moment for Marina Muzichuk to step up.
Tanya's concentrating. How's she doing?
Let's look at Tanya's game. Sure. Tanya Sachdev. Speaking of, let's see, throwing the kitchen sink at her opponent again. What do we have? E4 just played. Yeah. Bishop coming to
She's got 4 pawns for the piece. Still has great pieces, great coordination. Like White's king is still not impressive. She also got her opponent's knight in a pin, so she might just be winning material. I mean, I guess it's completely winning because White's not even, when we say White's up a piece, not really, not for long. So Tanya is going to bring it home for India.
What do you think? If you had to pick a sponsor for chess, for women's chess, what would you pick? Like if you could pick anything, like my first thought, like I'll just give you my thought. My first thought would be something like Nike, like obviously, but I get why it's probably harder for chess to get a sponsor like that. Oh, the computer really didn't like pawn takes F3.
Ooh, well, that's because of bishop takes F6 and rook F6
and queen takes F6,
rook C1, knight F1, rook F1, king F1.
Queen H1, rook G1.
Yeah, there's a long line here. Hold on. She
miscalculated she seems to have something. Oh my God. Rook takes F6, queen F6. She thought rook C1 is totally winning.
Can we get her back up on video? I'm just going to make that request.
Let's take a look. Let me look at that line you're looking at. So you're saying that after rook F6, queen F6, Tanya probably calculated rook C1, knight F1, rook takes F1, king takes F1. Well, I don't blame her. It looks extremely promising. And then maybe she was looking at rook G1, queen G1, king G1, pawn takes F6. And we're up like a gazillion pawns.
But they're all tripled.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We are literally up. How many pawns do we have? We have 4 extra pawns, but they're such terrible pawns. I mean, what the use of a pawn if you can't use it to make a queen, right?
Yeah. Oh no, this is really horrible. She has such a beautiful position. I feel so bad for her.
I wonder if
it's devastating.
I wonder if she actually just thought she had like some mate here, like with some kind of like hallucination.
She probably did,
because I can't imagine she would have wanted to go into the end game. Like that doesn't really make any sense. I think she just this can happen. Your position is so awesome that you start to see tactics that don't exist for yourself, right?
Oh, I feel bad for her. Seriously, I feel bad. Not just bad for her position,
Oh, wow. I thought it's so funny because when you started that sentence, I thought you were going to say bad for her team. And then I'm like, no, I really actually like feels like the position is alive and like you're making the position sad. I like that. Queen, maybe she saw something with Queen H1 and forgot that the rook could still defend the other way. But whatever the case may be, we got Queen 6 F6 on the board. And this is bad news for India because we had really said that they were going to like win this match partly because this game looks so fantastic. By the way, some other results in Alina Kalishnikaya has beaten Jennifer Rodriguez Perez. That was that Russia versus the world match. I mean, sorry, versus the FIDE Americas match. And
she might have completely forgotten about knight f1. I mean, sometimes knight retreats are hard to see.
Or maybe it was the rook g1. Yeah, one of those. Yeah. Now here we've got a very rich position that's going into time pressure. So the movie 5 was just played. Is that just a pawn sack, Irina? What is this? Just give up a pawn? Okay. Yeah, we just gave up a pawn. Why? What's the tactic?
Wait. No, Jen. This game is way more advanced than this position.
Oh, am I not? Did I need to? Maybe I need to.
Yeah. They were somewhere else. Like, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my board got a little messed up. Sorry, guys. This is the position that we're in, which is actually still really rich considering they've got 3 minutes and 5 minutes left on the clock each. The material is equal, but white has just managed to get this movie 5 in.
Yeah, this is very good for white. I mean, now I can see white really making that bishop and f2 come alive. And I see lines like, first of all, on pawn takes e5, I mean, there's a lot of things white can do, but like let's say we just do the simple, knight takes e5, right? And then after knight takes e5, just bishop takes c5. I mean, and then you're going to play your, your bishop to d4. I mean, I don't know. I love white's position there, so I'd be very happy. Although there is knight c4, I guess you can try that, but still, I feel like it's really good for white.
3 minutes left on the clock for Marianne Gomez, and for Vermeera, there is still 4.5 minutes. Anything can happen in this game. Advantage white, but meanwhile, oh no, she just resigned here. But why resign?
Why?
Why resign here? She was so distraught. But I thought that after rook c1, knight f1, you could still go for that line. Maybe I was
poor Tanya. Poor Tanya.
I was thinking that you could still go for that line. Was that line totally winning for white? I thought that it just
completely winning.
Yeah, I don't think so because
maybe, but yeah, she still has to do some work. Yeah, I mean,
maybe with rook b6 and rook, but no, I mean, if you play rook b6, I can maybe put my bishop on c4. Yeah, I don't think this is totally over. Maybe rook d4, just start munching right away is the correct way to play. Just, eat and run. But yeah, I think I would play a little longer, Irina.
Yeah, I would play
maybe defend this.
But yeah, I mean, she will eventually lose one of a6 or f3, and
the problem is she's just losing too many of the pawns. It's like you start holding on to them. I take this one, you start holding on to that one, but how long is this really going to last? I'm going to bring Mr. King in, and your king is totally cut off. But still, I still think it's worth playing out. But that said, I can understand that, like, in that situation, she's just so shocked because she was playing so well. Maria Muzichuk has officially won her game. Harika was crushing earlier. Is she still crushing?
She's doing well.
Yeah. Still has got this gorgeous looking attack. But it's Sansaya never going down easy.
Look at those amazing dark squares that black has control over. So nice. I just love to have control of nice squares, Jen. That rook is coming to e7. How is she gonna win? Okay, let me just find the winning plan for black here. Queen can come to f4, knight to g3. Getting close. I'm getting close to finding your king, but I will play rook e7 soon.
Okay, rook a1 just played, huh? Hey, didn't you mention that Sansaya played a move like rook a1 in another game that was actually brilliant? Or was that a different
Queen a1, Queen a1.
Queen a1, okay. Rook a1 though. What to do here? The computer hates rook a1, so is there like some kind of tactic that we can just...
Yeah, there's probably something with like rook e7. And I think you can just give away the a5 pawn.
Simple chess.
Surely something will be there, surely.
Knight g3 check coming, knight f3 coming. I like that idea.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
did she do? She did something
Or
different.
maybe queen g3 is also a similar idea. Oh, then we don't have the queen
Yeah.
h4. Okay.
Okay, cool. She's
Similar
attacking
though.
the rook on e1. Yeah.
You got to be careful here about, but what's the exact threat, Irina?
Knight. Oh, well,
Knight
it's
g4?
all, you know. I have to say, Jen, there was a cute idea of knight takes f3 with the idea of rook e8, knight g3, double knight checkmate.
Ah, nice mate. Okay, yeah. Can we
It
play
doesn't
that out
quite
on
work
board?
because there's still knight takes f3, but it's in the air. It's hanging in the
It is
air.
definitely in the air. It is 100% in the air. Wait, what about the knight g4 one? Does that work? Does that lead to a checkmate? No, I guess not. Because rookie, I'm like, somehow you escape just knight j3, king g1, and there's no mate.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one doesn't work. And knight takes f3, knight takes f3 with a tempo doesn't work. We're not actually trying to, black has got to be winning here. We're just looking for the most beautiful win. I'm sorry, can't help ourselves because it's so beautiful to get those types of two night mates, right? Just
Yeah.
to show, just to show, because it is very pretty. This variation does not work, but look at that mate. Look at that pattern. What is this mate called? Does it have a name? Do you know if it has a name, Irina? The two
Nope.
night mate like that?
I don't know.
Yeah. Is it? We got to figure out some way to name it.
It's
But
amazing how bad White's pieces are here. It's amazing just how horrible they are.
it's
Like
amazing.
even the
Wow.
knight on d2 is terrible.
I feel like that's not what you want to hear when somebody says your position is amazing. It's amazing how bad it's amazing how bad your pieces are. And like, wait a second. Like imagine if you're like at a performance review and somebody's like, it's really amazing. And then they just let you wait for a second for a
Yeah.
beat. It's really
Really
amazing
amazing
how
how
bad.
terrible you've done on all of your projects this quarter.
All right. Anyway, it is very, let's just say Harika's position is amazing. Lena Danielian and Anna Muzichuk, that game was a draw. That's not a surprise. We saw that one coming. And Asmak Julia, this game looks like she's just about to win. She's got that A pawn all the way up the board. And in fact, she did win. So that does it. We've got a tiebreak between Ukraine and Armenia, right? I believe
Well,
so.
hold on. So this is 1-0. Who else is winning? It's going to be
Well,
for who else is
Asmak
winning for
won.
Ukraine? And and Muzichuk won, and that one was a draw. Yep. We're
So
gonna have a tiebreak.
we're already at 2.5. So there you go. Well done, Ukrainian. Up against the wall, they were able to get it done. But now the India Kazakhstan game match is very much in doubt. Oh, this one only has 2 minutes each player. I think this is going to be our main game, but let's just quickly. So we already saw Harika is going to win probably.
Yeah,
Although it
look
is
at this. I
time.
mean, black is up a pawn here, Jen, and it's not looking as bad as it was at some point. I mean, black is up a
No.
pawn. White still has a really strong bishop on d4, but they don't have any concrete threats. They don't have like an open file yet to work with. Their bishop on g2 is kind of restricted. So I'm actually thinking that, I mean, anything can happen in this game. Yeah, I mean, I can see white winning and tricking black in some way. Like for example, I don't know about that rook f8 move, what the point was. That kind of gives white ideas maybe of g4 or even just rook e1. Um, Queen a2 is not so dangerous, I assume, because of queen f7 or bishop f7. Probably I would just play rook e1, Jen. I don't really know why black took the rook to f8. Okay, bishop f3. Also, what's going on inside Vakasova versus Vaishali?
That is the key. Oh, that is the key.
Yeah.
As I believe whatever we get here, it looks very likely to be a draw, Irina, as it's rook and 2 versus rook and 2. And it seems, well, is it definitely, yeah, this rook can easily come to a5 to block this pawn from shuttling up the board. And at some point, black's also going to play, a strategic rook d2 and take off our pawn. So this one should be a draw. So that basically leaves it all up to Marianne Gomez, right?
And Harika.
Well, Harika looks very, very good for Harika, right? But let's take a quick look to make sure that's continuing to be the case, right? Queen to F2 was played, knight F7. Oh my, I mean, her position is just dominating. Rook E1 is going to come into the game. You can't defend this. Even Sansaya, even the great Sansaya Abdulmalik, I don't believe she's going to defend it. And if that's the case, it's all going to come down to this game. So
you're saying that Daletsova needs to win because oh no, you're saying
because Tanya lost.
Tanya lost. Oh wow.
So it's going to be 1.5. It's probably going to be 1.5, 1.5. A draw will make them tied. A win for Marianne will give India the win. And if Daletova wins, she'll give the win to Kazakhstan.
All right, let's watch this one. Let's watch this game because it's clear that this is going to be a huge impact on the standings.
Oh yeah, and it could go any way because this move B5 makes the position like all results possible, right? Strong.
Yeah, I'm a little worried because pawn takes, bishop F3. You know, I don't like the way she's potentially opened up a new diagonal for the white bishop, and I haven't even said anything about queen C6, which obviously is isn't that just pretty good? Queen takes C6. I mean,
that's true. I do like white. I do like white. I'm with you.
I think she's made a move because it's black's turn now, Jen. Okay, so she played queen E6.
She played queen E6.
It was black's turn. It was black's turn.
She played queen E6 with very little time left on the clock. She's got 22 seconds left. Big advantage for Marianne Gomez on the clock. That 1 minute means a lot. But you were mentioning bishop F3 ideas. I think that's really smart because, if that pawn on C6 falls, everything's going to go down. But I think black's idea is to go knight E3. Try to trade off one of the bishops, maybe. That would be very advantageous to us because we don't like dealing with those two bishops. It's too much.
Yeah, you're right, Jen. You're right. Knight E3, she blundered that. She just blundered knight E3. Knight E3 is really strong.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, but she's played bishop F7 instead. Okay, stop.
Okay.
I think the problem is like knight E3 is going to come potentially, right? Like we can't stop it that easily.
Yeah, she's going in the wrong direction. All forwards, but like, I mean, someone's got to well, actually, okay, F4, right? F4 is good, and then knight E3, and I don't know what white is doing here. I mean, white is losing on the queen side as well. I can see Marianne Gomez even losing this game the way things.
Oh, I definitely can see. I can see all three results. I mean, the best thing for Marianne Gomez right now is that she's had more than double her opponent's time. But I mean, knight E3 coming with a bang is going to liquidate that advantage of the two bishops, which was something that was so beautiful.
I would play queen F2. Queen F2. Yes, definitely queen F2. Try to play rook E1, maybe queen H4. Don't let knight E3 happen. You cannot let your bishop get traded. The bishop on D4 has to stay until the end of the game. He's a guest that is not going anywhere, you know?
This is fascinating. I'm just going to take a quick look. Did Harika get it done? Still in the game's not over. But it looks like some beautiful checkmates are in the offing, Irina. Some really pretty ones like knight takes H3, threatening queen G1 mate. And then knight G3 will be mate.
Yeah, Jen, it's going to end soon.
Knight takes H3, a pretty one. We're going to see if that actually happens on the board as queen H2 was just played by Marianne Gomez. You had suggested queen F2, I think. She played queen H2, queen D6 on the board. Okay, just protecting that pawn. Oh my God, Irina, the tension, 30 seconds for each player. There is a 10-second increment, guys. But who do you take? I mean, if you had to play this for your team, for the chance to get in the semifinals, whose position do you take, white or black?
Okay, white. White because it's
white
on D4. Okay. Yeah, just more tricks maybe.
Yeah, it's a really close one. You're right though. I can't play knight E3 at the moment because bishop E3, pawn E3, queen takes D6. So right now, that neutralizing idea that I've been so fond of, not possible. Bishop E6 played.
Queen F2. Let's go to H4.
Queen F2, nice idea. It was played by Marianne Gomez. Okay, I got to see if she got that pretty checkmate.
Yeah, she did. She won. That game is over.
The game is over. Beautifully done. Okay, where we go? Here we are. Queen H4. The queen is coming in. And Irina's predictions are flawless because now everybody's taking white. Because
including the computer, yeah. I mean, see, look at those beautiful bishops. I love them. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, you needed to take that. Got to play knight E3 at some point before this happened, right?
Yeah, no, this is a big win. This is a big win for Mary Ann. I mean, now she's got her opponent's king on the run. She's going to win this game, I think, as long as she doesn't trade queens. Trading queens wouldn't be good, but still, actually, still anything can happen. I mean,
We
with this
got 20
little amount
seconds
of
left.
time,
Yep, you gotta keep watching this. What
yeah,
a barn burner. Okay, we can expect bishop f7 has been played.
queen
Queen
c5,
c5.
yep.
Nice move. Now threatening bishop c6. All those
Ooh,
bishops.
bishop c6 is painful. I think the end is coming, Jen.
Those bishops are getting you on both sides. You know, that's the
I
problem with your
know,
king down the
I
center.
know. That was
Oh,
too strong. That was too strong. Yeah. Well, look at that, Jen. Um, it's a complicated game. I think 93 somewhere. Black needed to
yeah.
see if she could have made that move happen somewhere, but it would have been great to get rid of that dark squared bishop.
I think though that this game, yeah, 93, just because the two bishops were haunting us. But part of me feels really sad about what happened to Tanya Sachdev. And so it's kind of nice to see that she's not going to feel like her team lost because of her too. So, from an emotional point of view, I'm like, I don't like anybody to feel like really, really bad after a match. And while of course I'm sure Kazakhstan will feel bad, it's not quite on that same level, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, of blundering a loss, a winning position, and then seeing your team lose by half a point. That's not easy. And it looks like Marianne's going to save the team. That
Yeah.
was going to save India from that fate.
She's hunting the king. And king e7, there is
Hunting the king and hunting the queen too.
queen g5 and then bishop d8 and game over. And Blunderina says, get yourself a partner that looks at you like Irina looks at these two bishops. Did you see that, Jen?
I love that. I love that. Beautiful.
I have very deep respect and admiration for those two bishops. That's true.
And that's a meme that Irina also doesn't know. I'm just kidding. But seriously, yeah, knight d6 was played, and Blunderina
Yeah,
had
I can't
another good
believe she didn't
comment.
play bishop d8. How can she not play bishop d8? That was
Oh, style points getting deducted here by Irina. But the mate
yeah.
is coming. Mate is coming, whichever way you put it. Throwing the spoon in the kitchen. Wait, what does the kitchen sink mean? Throw in the kitchen sink. Where did that metaphor come from, Irina? Like,
It
how do
must
you
be.
actually throw a
I have a
kitchen sink?
guess. I have a guess, Jen. Like imagine, like when you got the husband and wife having a fight, you start throwing all the the obvious things like the plates, right? The plates shattering,
Oh,
the utensils, and then the final thing, which is the hardest to remove, right? It's the kitchen sink. So that
I
must be what
see.
it is.
I see. Okay. Wow. That was a pretty fast solution, Irina. You must be doing your puzzle rush. You're like, yeah, I got that metaphor. Ah. All right. Well, there it is. I think that was a win. I think that Black has resigned, and what a win by India. Congratulations. By the way, Blunderina also had a good comment about chess sponsor. She said Netflix, or she or he, because I've profited a lot about a story about women in chess. That's a great suggestion. I think like any kind of computer company, right? Like, I think anything with technology and computing is always a good fit with chess, because that's
Yeah.
what chess players do, right? They study on computers. It's like their lifeblood, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point, Jen. Yeah, really anything
And
to do with
it's
computers.
associated with intelligence, and we're associated with intelligence. So there you go. I would love it to be like a sports company, but the thing is, like, you don't really need sneakers to play chess, so that might be a little harder. But in fact, some dress codes don't even allow for it, right?
Someone mentioned a clothing company. I think that would be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind some beautiful clothing, especially if they could donate some clothing from like,
Yeah,
Chanel or something like that. I'd be all
yeah.
for that.
Stella McCartney. Oh man, there's all sorts of good
Yeah.
brands that could. I think I saw some fashion lines in some of the fashion shows this year. Were using chess themes. I believe Dior.
Mm, mm.
So that's the thing. So many companies profit from the beautiful and pristine image of chess, but they don't always sponsor chess players. They sometimes just use the imagery of the chessboard. So
Yeah.
I'd like to see that combination. By the way, the reason we're still in the air talking about all these wonderful things is because there's still a game going on, but more importantly, there's a playoff in the offing, right?
Yeah, like let's see how it finished. Oh, by the way, so do we know how Garyachkina did against Corey Daisy? Is that even?
I have that game on the board right now,
Oh, you do?
actually.
Oh, because you know
She's
what? I mean, do you know that if, like, I don't know, for some reason, if Corey Daisy wins this game, which I guess
she's
she's
not
probably
going
not,
to.
she's not going to, but if
No.
she did it, it would have been a 2-2 tie, which would have been just sensational.
She is
Uh,
not going to win this game because Gorichkina is winding up to just win this knight on on d3. Look at this move. Knight a4, very good move because it attacks this rook. If the rook moves, we have knight c5, and then we're going to win the knight on d3. So yeah,
yeah.
Gorichkina getting it done again. Well played. And there it is.
Yeah.
She
So,
Desi actually did resign the game.
so we got, okay, well, what's going on in Azerbaijan, Georgia? I mean, I see Georgia has an advantage, but I mean, they have two games that I don't know the results for yet. 2-2.
Let's take a look.
Wow.
Drew. And
Someone lost.
Zagnisi drew.
Arabidza lost.
Our Bitsy lost. Oh, geez. Yeah, I wasn't even looking at that one. It looks like it was 2-2. So they
But that
actually
means
will.
that Georgia is through.
Yeah, they are through. But yeah, that was closer than I expected, as of course the Georgian players do outrate. But it was very close because somebody was upset. Mary Arabidzi was upset on her board, and the other players held draws. And yeah, it was Layla
Yeah, they're
Yavishashvili
quite lucky
who.
that Layla managed to get a point. I mean, otherwise they'd be going unexpectedly going into a tie break as well.
Oh, by the
India,
way, look at these two bishops, Irina. Something else for you.
where do I see? Oh, let's see.
Layla's final position with that beautiful bishop on e5 and the bishop on f1
Nice,
tucked in, protecting the
nice.
king.
And so we only have one tie break. We got Armenia and Ukraine going into a blitz, and Ukraine, big comeback, 3.5 half. I mean, they're making a statement, I think, with that kind of score, Jen, that they don't want to leave this tournament.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I mean, that's a fantastic squad. The Muzichuk sisters. I mean, they're just so good. Ukraine, Anna Ushinina. You've got such a great squad, and so I'm not surprised that they came back with a bang. But shout out to Armenia for making it close. Will they be able to prevail in the blitz? Hey, they're the underdogs, but well, that's why we play chess, because you don't just have the favored players, give them ones on the score table, right?
Yeah, and I'm interested to see if they're going to put Ushenina in for the tie break. I mean, she hasn't done that great, but on the other hand, she's a good blitz player. But I have a feeling like they're not going to put her in. I think they're just going to stick with the players that have been winning the games more consistently.
Yeah, interesting theory. Well, I'm sure we'll find out pretty soon what the captains decide.
We're going to have a little bit of a speed chess championship feel here, Jen, now when we go to the tie breaks, right? Because it's like, um, now we're going into 3-2. It's very different from 45 plus 10. And it's going to be over so super fast. And we're going to take a break now, guys. And oh yeah, let's go over actually the tie break format,
Yeah,
what they're going to be doing.
it was right up on the screen before. So the teams draw for colors. If tied, players will reverse color. Teams will reverse colors until there is a winning team. It's a 3+2 blitz match with 4 versus 4. So, I mean, it's not that likely that we'll have more than one round, right? Most of the
Not
chances.
super likely, but I
Yeah.
mean anything can happen, but it's not super likely.
But that's a pretty cool system because eventually somebody will win, and it's not going to take that long anyway. And the more long it takes, the more exciting chess we have. So we'll be right back for the thrilling tiebreak to find out which team makes it into the semifinals. Will it be Armenia or will it be the favorites, Ukraine?
Welcome back, guys, to our coverage of the FIDE Women's World Team Chess Championship 2021. We just got finished with the 2 rounds of the day that produced one set of teams that are going to be playing a tiebreak with each other to see who advances to the semifinals. And that tiebreak is going to start in 15 minutes. So before then, we are just going to do a brief overview of the games that have taken place so far to result in this tiebreak. So, Jen, let's quickly go to maybe how about we never actually saw Natalia Buxa and how she won against Gakusian.
True, and that made it the score a really lopsided 3.5, as you pointed out. Definitely putting a message. So this game started out really closed. It wasn't until move 28 that a single pawn was traded, right? But unsurprisingly, once the floodgates opened, it became really wild. And look at this move: bishop takes g6 check. We definitely missed this one. What's the deal? Queen d3 is a really strong idea, huh?
Yeah, she's just gonna take, I think, knight takes f4 and queen d3, right? That's why I think the king cannot take, because of just knight takes f4.
Knight takes f4 right away. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, and then just
so
simply
king
check.
f7. God, there's got to be
Yeah.
a number of good discoveries. But we can also can we just play
Yeah, let's
knight
do the
g6
knight
anyway?
g6 one. Yeah, yeah, we can.
Yeah, because even though we don't win any material, we get your king into the hot spot here on h5, and now we got to figure out a way to mate with a pawn. We can mate with it this way.
You could have made it, yeah, also maybe with rook f5 was an idea, but this is pretty good, Jen.
Oh, that's not as pretty.
I
Oh, but you're right. It elongates the suffering. Is there any way
Yeah.
for us to sacrifice the queen and then mate? I don't think so. I think we need the queen to stop you from coming to g6. But
Exactly.
anyway, we're having too much fun there, but really, really nice idea. And I mean, that's the thing. You run your opponent down on time a little bit, and then they might miss bishop takes g6 more easily. So some pretty smart play here by Natalia Buxa, who after this, it really is curtains, because not only are you up a pawn, but you're up the game, because the king is just terribly underdefended. And yeah, she made it happen in quick order, just bringing those pawns forward, and there we go. Oh, I'm surprised she'll even allow this to happen, Irina, but it didn't matter because the knight protects against all the checks. And now it's white's turn, and white is going to capture this knight and win the game thereafter. So very, very nice game that we mostly missed because it was so close. And by the time it was over, by the time that one was clearly in white's favor, the match was already over for Ukraine, because Asmak won a nice game as well.
Yeah, so we watched Asmak win. She was up a pawn. We pretty closely followed the game between Maria Muzichuk and how she beat Lilit Mikurchan. Maybe we'll take a look at let's take a look quickly at Tanya's game. You know, that was kind of a key game in the match between Kazakhstan and India.
Yeah, how she could have won instead of e takes f3, right?
Exactly. So she blundered somewhere. That changed the game for her. But she was winning just a move prior to that. So here.
I think just take on b2, right? And then
Well,
after queen
yeah,
b2, you do have to stop checkmate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the key. How do you stop checkmate here, Irina? Dare I say something crazy, like just playing g6?
G6, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that no, I was being kind of sarcastic, because it's just like such a normal looking move. But the problem for white here is that, well,
knight d4 f4. If knight d4 f4,
and if knight h2,
knight h2, okay. I mean, also just, at some point I can just play queen e2. I mean, my position is just queen. No, I'm sorry, queen d1 wins a rook. Queen d1.
I'm also thinking of rook c8, running rook c2 and rook c1, Irina.
Yeah, how about queen d1 just winning a rook, Jen?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm sorry, that is just very easy. So you have to play knight e1, I guess, to stop that. And then there's queen d1 anyway, right? And then you have rook a1.
Yeah,
Okay.
rook
So
A1. So
finally we
maybe
found something that doesn't win immediately. Okay. So here though,
F4, F4,
yeah.
E3.
So just normal chess, basically. Just take the knight and then play G6. Play the quiet move. Just defend
Yeah,
against
she
the
missed
knight.
something. She just let her bishop and F6 get captured really for no reason. And yeah, we can already see, by the way, in the video, the Armenian players are there. There's Alina Danielyan getting ready for her game. I just want the match to be competitive. I don't have any preference for who should go through. I think probably from the point of view of the tournament, I think it would be probably better for Ukraine to go through in the sense like they're a stronger team, and I want to see someone putting up some resistance against Russia. You know, but I mean, okay, if Armenia can beat them, then they deserve to go through, right? So I think this is a team that can outperform themselves, as we saw in the first round of the day. So yeah, that's the question, Jen. You know, will they be able to outperform themselves again?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what do you think the chances are, Irina? Do you think if we ran this match 4 times, how many times do you think Armenia would win?
Maybe a little over one.
Okay. Okay. So maybe if they ran 3 times, would they win one of the three, lose twice and win once?
A little less.
Okay. Okay. Wow. You're good at this, Irina. You got your odds ready to go. Okay. Okay. So Irina's saying somewhere between 2-1 and 3-1. Very, very nice prediction there.
Yeah.
And only if we could run this 3 times, we would know how close you were to that.
Yeah,
But
let's
instead,
let's run
you
it. Let's offer for them to play three rounds of this tiebreak, Jen.
well, of course, Ukraine would take that because the more times they get to play, the more likely the favorite is to win. But the idea would be that they have to win, at least two
At least two. Yeah.
to determine like whether they won more than expectation or not. Hey,
Yeah.
well,
I
let's
think I
take,
think the Muzichuk sisters are just quite good blitz players.
yeah.
So, you know, that also, I mean, it's not hurting them to play blitz for sure.
Well,
I
let's
think
take a quick break,
Oshkosh as
Irina.
well is good.
Let's take a quick break because we're getting the game set up and we're going to be right back for this thrilling tie break.
Welcome everyone to the tie breaks of the FIDE Women's World Team Championship. We just finished our regular games of the day. We have two teams that are tied with one win apiece, and they're going to be battling each other for a place in the semifinals. We have Team Armenia and Team Ukraine. Isn't it exciting, Jen?
I'm really excited indeed. I mean, Ukraine, such a great team. And remember that match where we had, remember that game where we had Lilith Mikarchian versus Maria Muzichuk. What a barn burner that was. So I'm really excited to see how those two face off because they are both been playing great today. I can't wait for the games to get started.
Yeah, the games have started, Jen. We've got Elena Danielyan and Anna Muzichuk. We can see them on the video. I can't quite figure out what opening that is. Maybe it's a similar one to the one that they had, but they have started their game.
All right, I should be getting them up on my board in any minute. So excited to see those. Yeah, I can't make out that opening either. That's a special skill.
Yeah, we got white pawns on d4 and c4, a knight on f3. Oh, we got Lilith playing black against what opening is this? It looks like some kind of a Slav defense. Like this is a Moran. Okay, so that one we could figure out. These games are so fast paced because they're played at the time control of 3+2. Now we have to say that Armenia did make one substitution in their lineup from today. They put in the player Gabayan on board 4 instead of Gakuxian, who just lost to Natalia Buksa. So maybe we'll see her again. I think she's actually, that's her, that may be her. I can't tell if that's her or Sargazian. No, that's Sargazian, I believe, Anna Sargazian. Anna Sargazian is playing Yulia Osmak.
Ah, yeah. And here we see the game between Lilith and Maria. It looks like, what is that bishop doing on? Is that a bishop on h7? There's like a white, oh no, that's a captured bishop, Irina.
Yeah, that's a bishop off the board. No, it's a pretty standard position.
I was like,
oh, actually, this was a stone wall.
And it looks like it looks like we're about to get the games up on my board as well. So that's very exciting.
And we have an interesting opening in Daniel Jan Muzichuk. Like, what opening is that? That doesn't look like anything I can easily predict, Jen.
And now we have the games up on my board as well, Irina. So that's exciting. We've got Danielin versus Anna Muzichuk here, so you can see it on my board as well. This was a Trompowsky.
Oh, wow, Trompowsky. Okay.
So interesting choice. And now bishop to h3 just played by Anna Muzichuk to stop Danielin from castling. Okay.
I think this knight c3 is likely.
What's going on? Yeah, what's going on with a direct hit on this pawn? I guess you always have rook d7. So you're very solid. So you just think knight c3 and then wind up for castling queenside?
Yeah, knight c3. Want to develop my pieces. Hard to play without development.
So and here's this Maria Muzichuk game. Bit of a time advantage for Maria. She's sinking into thought now, though, trying to figure out what her plan is. I mean, I gotta like white a little bit because this bishop on d7 is woeful.
Yes. Okay, so she's trying to go knight c2. I mean, her knight on a3 is just not very good. I actually wonder, so what is, okay, is she going to go bishop e8? She did. Okay, cool. So she's like going to go bishop g6 or something.
Smart move to reroute that bishop. Finally, we've got Sargazian versus Osmak. No huge advantages, it looks, yet in the blitz. I mean, and that's not that surprising, is it? Because it is the craziness in a blitz game usually comes a little bit later. Now this game doesn't look that crazy though, but my question is, can white just post up with rook c6 and get a big advantage?
Yeah, white's better here. Who's playing this game?
This one is Natalia Bukska with the white from the white side against Susanna Gabayan, who hasn't been on board for Armenia yet, so she's coming in for this all-important blitz game. But yeah, Natalia trying to figure out, but I think that if rook c6 doesn't work, white's not that much better, right? So you have to be able to play rook c6. Is
that Pia Kramling standing and watching the games? I don't know. It really looks a lot like Pia. I mean, of course,
it does look a lot like Pia. It does indeed. Huh.
right? And it would be strange because it's Sweden is not playing this event. Oh, I think, but doesn't she live in Spain?
Yeah, that's right. Grandmaster
Maybe.
Pia Cramling. Maybe she was helping captain the Spanish team or something. Anyway, we'll try to find out about that. But Rook C6 was played. Meanwhile, it looks like Lilith McCartchian is playing extremely quickly. So she just played the move E5.
Yeah, she has to play quickly because she's under a minute. Her position is fine.
It's such a rich position to have to play a blitz game in.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They're going to be playing on seconds very soon. Um, so she played Queen F6. Okay. Maybe she can go like F4, but it's not so easy to go F4. Oh, maybe she can play F4. No, F4, then pawn takes E5. Knight takes E5, E takes F1, and then there's no knight F3 tactic.
Why
It's too
not?
bad because Queen F3.
Ah, I see. Okay, I think I was misplaying the moves in my head.
Okay, she
So
did something similar. She went F4 here. That's fine. I mean, she
good
needs to open up that bishop.
good position for black, but she's down on the clock. Let's just quickly check and see if something happening here. Uh-oh. It looks like white is in trouble in this game because after king f1, bishop takes f3 is possible, right? And then we're up a piece. What's going on? We are
Yeah,
up a
yeah.
piece.
Black, well,
Black
black,
is gonna
she has no time either. She has no time. Mirkirchan is, look, she's keeping it interesting. I mean, that's all you can really do. Bishop there is a good move. Maybe bishop f5. I don't know. I think my
uh-oh.
bishop's not that good. I think I would try to trade it.
Nice
I don't
idea.
want to.
Bishop f5. Yeah. I
I
love
don't
this
want to
move.
waste any time on knight f8.
Was that's
Okay.
what she did. She did play knight f8, but this
Okay.
move 30, 20 seconds for each player. It looks like the more interesting game, so I'm going to stay on that one. King f2. Okay, what can black do now to get juicy? She's played bishop f5, the move you wanted to play last move. Okay.
Yeah, she'll try to bring out that knight, but she can't go
Or
knight e6 yet because of rook e5 ideas. But yeah, the queen wants to come in.
yeah, let's
Super
party.
interesting.
The queen's coming in. This looks great for black.
Yeah,
Can
Anna
Lilith?
Muzichuk already finished her game, so she knows that her
She
teammate
won.
lost.
She
Yeah,
did win. This game with Busco looked terrible, looks horrible. Looks like both Anna Sargazian and Lilith are gonna have to win. But look at this. Anna does look like she's winning, but she's got an extra
wow.
queen. So if Lilith can win this game, it will probably be a draw and we'll get a second match. Oh my God. And look at
Wow, that
that.
would be too exciting, Jen. Too exciting. I hope so.
And she's crushing. I mean, look, this king is terrible, but she only got 9 seconds though. So don't count your tie break
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can't count on anything, but she's doing well. And Muzichuk, I mean, right now she's in some trouble.
She is definitely in trouble because remember, White's not even up material. I mean, the end game, we're up material. We're still up a pawn. She can play for a win even if she doesn't mate. But of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
she's not gonna want to trade queens. But even if she
yeah.
does, she's better. 1 second left for Lilith, though.
One
Oh,
second.
geez.
Oh no, oh no. She needs to play instantly. Come on,
Yes, she
come on.
does. She does. And look at this. Look at Maria creating counterplay. But you can't play pawn takes b7 because if rook takes a1, which would be mating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, it's all up to Lilith.
Is it? Okay, yes. Sargassian did win the game. And so if Busca wins, this is all going to be can Lilith win
Come
this
on,
game?
let's go, Lilith.
Let's get another
We
one.
want we want more chess.
We want one more game. Yes, we do. And look at that. Both rooks into the play
She lost
now.
she lost some pawn. Oh no, she just lost her queen.
No, she lost her queen.
Oh no, 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 no,
So
no.
well played. How did that happen? Wait a second. Why did we lose our queen? Oh
Oh,
my
she just put her queen under the rook.
God.
Oh no, no, no. So sad, so sad, so
Yeah, I wanted
sad.
to see more games. I did want
Me
to.
too.
I wanted to see more games because this one is Natalia Butsa. What a match!
Yeah.
Oh boy, and Maria, you gotta point out that she's just fighting till the end, and in this case, that gave her the victory, as a lot of people would have capitulated earlier and just like ran out of time, but she
Yeah.
kept the game moving, and that rewarded her. And Ukraine is the team that makes it to the semis.
Yeah, wow. That is sad. That is
It
sad for Lilith. So many crazy things can happen when there's no time.
Apparently,
Yeah.
Asma also blundered her queen. Says Grandmaster Hess, welcome to the chat, Grandmaster Robert Hess. Well, that makes me feel a
Yes.
little better actually, because that means that hey, tit for tat, right? Anna won a game by a queen, hang, and so did Maria. So in the end, it's a just result. But hey, chess isn't really
Yeah.
about justice, is it, Irina?
Yeah, well, no, I think it is a just result. I think Ukraine is a bit of a stronger team. Armenia put up a great fight today. I really like the play of Lilit Mikirchan.
Me
No,
too.
she's so upset. Yeah, she feels so bad. But Ukraine makes it through. Maria gets a hug from her sister. And hopefully that just means that we're gonna have more excitement in the semifinals. Oh, poor Lilith. I know that feels really horrible.
It does. It does. But that's the thing. When you get to a playoff, somebody has to win, and the team that loses is always going to feel so bad. That feeling of getting so close and yet also being eliminated at the same time is never a welcome feeling in chess. But it is necessary in order to provide for the euphoria that Ukraine I'm sure feels now, or maybe the relief because they are the favored team. So there's that mixture of euphoria and relief, right?
Yeah.
It's a good
Sorry, I'm
feeling
still
though.
I'm still commiserating with Lilith. I mean, that just if it's fine to lose, but you don't want to lose by playing Queen F6. That's
Yeah, I
a
feel like
little
moves
much.
like that are sometimes some kind of melange of a mouse slip and a blunder. It's kind of like an in-between area where it's like you kind of saw it, but you misclicked. It's like it's not one or the other. Sometimes I feel like it's in that gray area in between. Anyway, regardless, it doesn't make a difference because in the end of the day, this does give Ukraine the victory, and there we see Merkityan walking
Yes.
away, but she can have her held, keep her head high, as she did play one of the best female blitz players in the world, a former women's world champion, in fact. And she
What are
she
going to
held
be
her
the
own.
what are going to be the pairings, Jen, for the next round? Let's talk about that. I
Well,
think
we got
we got
India
Oh,
versus
yes.
Georgia.
Yes. And we got the pairing I wanted, the Russia Ukraine. That's good, good. That is definitely going to be a very competitive match. And Georgia, well, Georgia, has I guess a slightly easier pairing against India, and I would expect them to make it through, but obviously it's not guaranteed at all. So I mean, Russia's going to have to now be, challenged a bit more than they have been so far to get through to their place in the finals.
Yeah, who's your pick right now, Irina? If you had to pick one team, you pick Russia.
I still think Russia and Georgia are the favorites to advance here.
It's hard to pick
Um,
against Russia. I mean, with so many strong
yeah,
players, really just bringing their top guns and having a very clear strategy going in as well. As we mentioned before, it really seems like they're playing the clock. They're not just playing chess, but they're also playing rapid chess. And you got to give them a lot of respect and a lot of favoritism here, I think, because of that. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm saying like I really feel like watching some of their games in the Olympiad and here, it's hard not to think that they are the team to beat.
yeah, absolutely. No, Russia is very strong, and but now they're going to have to go through two strong teams to win. So we will be watching this action tomorrow and on Saturday.
Very exciting. I think you'll be rejoined by Dina Belankaya. And of course, I know that you're also, meanwhile, through all this, preparing for your U.S. championship. So I'm sure I speak on for all of the viewers when I say we wish you very good luck with your preparation. And of course, with your event next week, which I understand will also be covered on Chess TV, as you've mentioned it, as we've mentioned several times throughout the broadcast. So
Very
thanks so
cool. Thank you, Jen.
yeah, you're welcome. And thanks to all of our viewers because you've been really fun today and given a lot of great ideas and great spirit. and taught Irina a couple of memes that she didn't know before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I did learn some things. Yeah, thanks guys for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.